Hey, Prime members, you can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the app today.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Hello, and welcome to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Yay, indeed, Jimmie. Yay, indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I am Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us this week. We are excited as can be. Hope you enjoyed last week.
Yeah.
We had, honestly, that was the craziest, the craziest origin story in the history of Crime and Sports. If you missed last week, guys, I'm telling you, stop now, go back, at least listen to the first half hour of the show, because you've never heard a crazier origin story of where a person came from.
Yeah.
It was literally 212 episodes, 211 before that, never had anything come close to it.
Unbelievable.
So craziness.
Completely unbelievable.
Absolutely unbelievable. But this week we have one of the, again, this is wild, and one of the wildest stories we've ever had on Crime and Sports, by far.
Good.
It's one that I've been saving for a while, just kind of, you don't want to burn up all the good ones up front. So we have a bunch we've been saving that are in the hopper here. So it's going to be a good time. It's a wild story. So unexpected. We've never had any of the things that have happened. So it's pretty crazy. Real quickly before we get started, if you want to help out the show, you should do that, I think. If you want to, especially, you should. But you can do that very easily by giving us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, that purple icon there, or Stitcher. I think you can do it there too. Yeah. We don't understand why it helps the show and helps drive it up the charts, but it does. So if you'd like to help the show, that's what you can do. It takes 10 seconds. Get in there and do it. It's very, very easy. Also, head over to shutupandgivememurder.com for everything crime and sports and small town murder related. You can get all your merchandise, all your tickets to live shows. And by the way, if you're not listening to Small Town Murder, listen to Small Town Murder. What the hell is wrong with you? Check that out. But all sorts of stuff on the site there. Tickets to live shows that may or may not be going on this year.
We hope.
We're not positive, but we know they carry over. So if you buy tickets and the show gets moved, you'll have tickets to whenever it's moved to. No problems there. And so get your tickets, do all of that. Also, you should listen to P.S. I Hate This Movie every Friday. Last week we did Clueless, and it was funny. I got made fun of for liking Alicia Silverstone when I was 15.
Well, I still like her today.
That's what I mean. What are you going to do?
She's beautiful.
Somebody called me a pervert for saying that during the movie, I thought she was hot then. And I'm like,
she's like 25.
I'm like, she's 2 years older than me.
Right.
So I am allowed. She was 18 and I was like 16 at the time. So
was she even that young?
Yeah, she's 2 years older than me. Okay. So she was 18 when Clueless was made. But
you pervert.
Yeah, I was like, what are you talking about? I was into an older chick. That's no. So anyway, check all that out. It's fun stuff there. Do everything like that. It's very, very helpful if you want to be a producer of the show. Oh my God, is it easy to do that? And there's so much bonus stuff that you can get.
And it grows every time.
It grows and it grows. We have new bonus stuff. Last week we had 2 great bonus episodes.
They were so fun.
The personal ads, which was amazing.
Never fails.
And then living in basically an 1890s newspaper. What's it like to live in 1890s and open up the paper and Jesus Christ, are the stories insane? You got to check that out.
I was impressed that they were so progressive that there was not more, I don't know, racial slurs.
Racial slurs, like intentional,
like
mean ones.
Yeah. Or even just saying them just because they're accepted.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it was shocking that it was not as mean as we thought it possibly could be. But you can get those episodes and have your name mispronounced by Jimmie at the end of the show by being a producer. You can do that very easily over at patreon.com/crimeandsports. You get the episodes if you're above the $5 level, and you get all of them from this year, from last year, and any ones we come out with in the future. And if you want to just make a one-time donation, just for your karma, if it makes you feel good inside to give to people who give to you every week, you can do that too very easily over at PayPal. Use our email address, crimeinsports@gmail.com.
Right.
That said, damn it, let's get into it because it's a wild one.
I can't wait.
It's absolute insanity again. We're stacking them, man. We're stacking the crazy.
What sport are we running with?
Well, we're racking the brain brain damage sports this week.
Good.
We're doing boxing.
All right.
Oh, boxers are always fun. And this is, wow. I don't even know what to say. So let's get into this right now. Let's get into it with our main guy for the evening here. James is his first name. His middle name is Onque? Onque? O-N-Q-U-E.
Yeah.
Not sure how you say that, but I know it's a family name because he's James Onque Scott Jr.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, if you're new to the show, let's say you just started listening because of last week, we have a thing on crime and sports since the start, just an exorbitant, inordinate amount of... First of all, our criminals are juniors, and then they named their kids juniors as well. There's so much juniorness going on.
It's thick.
It's thick and weird, and we don't understand why, but it's carried through for 213 episodes, and it continues to
I think we've
now.
got a pretty good gist of it, just in terms of hubris and pride. It's got to be a huge portion of it.
Why are they juniors, though? That's what I get why they named their kid junior.
Right.
I'm famous, but how did you end up junior? That's what I want to know.
And your dad's legacy wasn't even something to be run up a flagpole, but they did it.
Let's talk about it here. Now, I got some good information from an article that was excellent that had some really in-depth stuff here called Gold in the Mud by SBNation.com. So I had to give them some credit for some details that everybody else didn't have. So basically... Okay, let's find out when he was born, because even this is a source of contention.
Oh, James.
This is what I mean. This is a guy born in the mid-20th century who we don't even know when the fuck he's born. I have multiple... I'm talking 4 different dates. Not
even
2.
Close?
Let's find out. One, it says, it's been said that he's born in Newark, New Jersey. That's not up for debate.
Some Newark's records are fucked?
That's what I mean. He's not born in fucking Ghana or in like Bangladesh or somewhere that would have back then have had lesser record-keeping skill. Yeah, like some sort of like Civil War-torn country. That's not where he's from. He's literally from Newark, New Jersey. So I don't know how the fuck we don't know how old he is. That's how crazy the story is. It starts out with this. So indisputably born in Newark. Okay, we have that. Several different dates. Now, one date we have is October 17th, 1951. Don't know where that date came from, but that's a date that's published often. Okay. Next time, the Miami Herald, at one point, they put his birthday as October 17th, 1946.
That's 5 years
putting
difference.
Him 5 years younger, which is a big, but same day at least. So that's something. 5 years older,
Jesus.
5 years older, but same day of birth at least, October 17th. So that's at least a common thing. Now, later on, his prison records have him being born on October 17th, 1947.
Okay.
So that's 3 different years and the same date. Now, Wikipedia...
Which is probably the least reliable.
Well, and his boxer like record sites too, which are usually pretty dependable. Those are pretty
ID
good
for those, right?
I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I don't know if they're verified accounts here. Nobody has a blue check mark.
Right.
But these like boxer record sites, they have, and Wikipedia, they all have his birthday listed as March 14th, which is a completely different month and day,
season,
fucking everything. That's not even close. 1947. So they at least have the 1 year that agrees with the prison, but a different day completely. So we have no fucking earthly idea how old this man is or what day he was born on.
But it was March 17th?
Sometime between March 14th and October 17th, 1946 through 1951. Sometime
Somewhere
in there, he was born.
His mom squirted him out.
That's there.
Wow.
So, Grace. That's Grace.
It's a very confusing one.
It's confusing, and that's as good as it gets for him. Life gets no better for him.
Hilarious.
Grace, from being born to not even knowing when, that's it right there, Grace. So,
and he's got to be dropped out of there in Newark,
that's
of
the
all
other
places,
thing.
to be more confused.
And he lives in Newark.
Why is everything so slippery?
Why is everything suck? That's what's going on here. That's why it's Grace in the first 7 minutes of the show.
Unreal.
So, Grace, and we'll find out why. He's the second of 12 children born to his parents.
Yeah.
And they don't have a farm. This isn't like, hey, they're Amish, so they're all putting up, they're born in Newark. So we're talking 14 people in an apartment. So this is a different,
And he had to listen to that 14 people being created.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's the second oldest.
He had 10 more to go.
This is a Ghostface Killah lyric.
Yeah.
14 of us in a 3-bedroom apartment.
Right.
Like, what the fuck?
Listen to dad plow mom every day, all day.
I guess so, to make more. Well, I don't know, because not really, because his father's kind of gone, as we'll talk about, and let's talk about it here a little bit.
Does he only come back to make babies and leave?
Well, yeah. His mom's name is Ursuline, which I love. That sounds like a
very Jersey.
No, Ursuline sounds like a B.B. King song.
Okay,
doesn't it? Like
I can see
Ursuline, Ursuline. Doesn't it sound? It's like a 50s, like fucking.
I see it.
Little Richard could sing about it,
or a country song where a guy's singing about an IHOP waitress.
Ursuline, she brought the bacon, crispy and lean. My Ursuline. She brought me out a plate of pork and beans. My Ursuline.
My taters were smothered and covered with all that gravy and cheese.
Oh,
Ursuline.
My Ursuline. Yeah. Holy shit. So
what a lady.
What a lady. Ursuline, of course, James Scott Sr. was his parents. They lived in basically the projects, kind of just the beginning. That's like when the projects were new.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just kind of the beginning end of it. He has a quote that he'll talk about later in 1978. He'll describe his childhood.
Yeah.
He says, quote, "My mother was on welfare. The marriage broke up, so the children sought an image elsewhere. I wasn't attracted to pimps or narcotics dealers. I was attracted to gangs and their leaders." Yeah. Which, is that good or I don't know if that's better or worse. I don't know which is worse.
I don't like crack cocaine. I don't want
to sell drugs or women, but I really want to fuck people up and
right.
Like I don't know, I get it. I mean, I obviously understand that's the people who are successful around you. Right. So you look at, okay, everyone's poor except for that guy.
Yeah.
What's he doing? Mm-hmm. So obviously you would think that it's the same thing with, back then, people go in the mob because they'd see that. They go, okay, he's got a Cadillac.
And people like him.
My dad works 60 hours a week. Right. We could barely pay our bills. That guy's got a Cadillac, and I never see him at work.
I always see him just driving it.
Driving, smoking, drinking, right. Like, well, what the fuck, man?
He's got a rocks glass of whiskey.
In the car. Right. This seems like a life I'd like to lead. More than my dad's. It's like Bronxdale.
I've never seen him sweat.
No, never. There's no reason to. If he starts to, someone comes and fans him.
Right.
So he said that his uncle gave him his first pair of boxing gloves at 10. Gave him a pair of boxing gloves, but his uncle or his father, neither of them showed him anything with them. They weren't like, now I'm going to teach you how to box. He said they were, busy.
Yeah.
His dad had shit going on. He wasn't around a lot. His uncle had other stuff going on. So nobody really was around to guide him, but he had these gloves and he was like, I guess I want to box and do shit like that. But he's got way more shit to deal with on the streets. He's running around. He's getting into trouble. And when we're talking about 12 kids, it's easy to lose track of the second to oldest, especially if they're second to oldest. If they're like 12, and back then 12-year-olds would run around. I mean, you were allowed to be a child outside back then. Yeah. So, you would just be like, he can take care of himself. He's fine. I got to deal with the babies. You know what I mean? Because you're going to have a bunch of little kids too.
True.
So, yeah, I would think that's a sort of thing. So he is out running the streets and not going to school.
Oh, no.
Is the issue. And he is actually, this is fucking crazy that they would do this back then. He is arrested for truancy.
What?
Because back then you would be arrested for truancy at 13 years old.
That was a law.
13, though. Yeah. He's 13. At 13, it's not the kid's fault.
No.
You know what I mean? At 13, you go talk to the parents. You don't talk to the fucking kid. The kid is 13.
Apart from murder, we talk to the parents.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So he's arrested. He is actually placed in the Jamesburg Home for Boys for truancy.
In Jersey.
So, yeah. So he's put in like a very tough fucking group home,
right?
Essentially like a juvenile facility for truancy at 13. So what that is how to put this? It's a petri dish for criminals, is what this is, this house, this Jamesburg home for boys.
The treatment versus the people that he's around and teaching him other things.
And there's children, so there's a lot of abuse going on. There's older kids are fucking with younger kids. There's a lot of bad things happening in these places. So he's got to learn to be tough, generally, here. For the next 5... And by the way, this whole story is 1,000% true. I'm not no left turns on this one. All of this is just crazy as it's going to sound. It's all fucking true.
You weren't about to tell us he was raped with a tulip paddle?
No,
had his head stomped on with wooden shoes.
He was attacked sexually by the Monsignor. And then, that would be very believable. So that would be not even crazy.
Realm.
Yeah, it would have to be something that you wouldn't believe. You know? So he, for the next 5 years, from 13 to 18, he is kept in facilities.
Good Lord.
For fucking truancy.
We think those years.
Yeah, we don't know what years.
It could be 18 to 23.
Yeah, well, he's definitely 13 to 18. We just don't know what years this is occurring.
It's amazing.
It could be occurring anytime from, anytime from 1959 to 1964 for the next few years. Who knows? Sometime in there.
This part's awesome.
It's fucking amazing. So
that's my favorite thing ever.
No birthday. Yeah. I could see it like Del Fontaine was born in like 1908 or something, or if we had somebody born, like we said, foreign country or some shit like that. But this makes no sense. Why someone born in a first world industrialized country in the mid 20th century wouldn't have a fucking birth date. Right. He wasn't born on a farm where they didn't register it for a couple days.
He wasn't born into slavery like the lady from the Underground Railroad.
That's what I mean. He's not born Harriet Tubman, Jimmie. Yeah.
I just had a thought that just exploded.
My hands now. My head's in my have to. That's
the lady. But we don't know when she was born.
No. That makes sense, though.
Yeah.
He was born 200 fucking years ago. This is just happened. So people are barely older than my parents. Right. You know what I mean? Like, this is crazy. So, wild shit. So anyways, bounced around for all these different reformatories. They put him in facility to facility, Annandale and Bordentown. Mm-hmm. And, but while he's doing that, while he's being bounced around, Bordentown, the one facility, offered an inmate amateur boxing program, which was good. These kids need something to fucking do. You can't just put a bunch of 16-year-old delinquents in a fucking room and be like, well, we'll wait till you're 18, like, and then let you out.
That's going to go bad.
You got to teach them something so they have a skill when they get out. Yeah. Just, so I'm 18. Did you graduate from high school? Oh, no.
Jesus.
Any college? Of course not. No. I did just get out of prison, though. Yeah. So that's good, right?
Where I've been beating the shit out of kids my own age.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at it. If you could need anything, if you need like a juvenile violence maestro, I think I would be your man.
Right.
That's what I mean. So, he gets all into the boxing. And by 18, by the age of 18, he has an amateur record of 3 wins and 2 losses in jail. So he kind of just, making his way into it. He didn't know what he was doing before that. And he says, quote, I learned to box in jail out of necessity. I got my head beat in a lot. I first went to jail at 13 for truancy. Truancy! In there with rapists and murderers and stick-up men. These are the examples of manhood I had.
Well, I mean, they were teenage kids. But...
Yeah, but they're still murderers and rapists and stick-up kids. Yeah.
They put all those kids with the kid that didn't show up to history class?
It's all juvenile. It's all a juvie facility. Yeah. So he's saying if you're young and you're not in there for something crazy, you're going to get fucked with. You better learn to fight pretty quick.
That is unbelievable.
It's absolutely wild. So now, in 1965, he is sent to, first of all, in 1965, the courts declare him incorrigible.
Okay.
Which is, to me, the most hilarious thing that any court can... Basically... I declare this young man a pain in the ass of such epic proportions. Incorrigible. To be officially declared incorrigible legally is pretty fucking funny. I don't know. Great. Not funny for what happens to him, but hilarious.
You should get a badge for that.
On its own, Incorrigible. You're incorrigible. I know. I have paperwork to prove it. As a matter of fact, a judge agrees with you. The state of New Jersey agrees with you.
Which is, we use that now as like somebody that can't stop making innuendo. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
And it's about a kid that literally is useless. That's what the courts seem to.
We can't do a thing with you. Not a thing can be done. Incorrigible.
You're either a useless teenager or a horny midlife crisis person.
But if you think about it, it's one or the other.
Yeah.
If you think about about it, though, this is really fucked up, though. This kid went in for skipping school.
Unbelievable.
He didn't kill anybody at 13 fucking years old.
Right.
And he's been in juvie halls for 5 years. And now they're going to send him to Trenton State Prison because he's incorrigible. He hasn't done anything.
Wow.
He's done. What the fuck are you sending him to prison for?
I mean, you really fixed his problem. He was late all the time or didn't show up.
Didn't show up.
You made him show up.
There you go. Now he's there.
Problem solved.
He's 18. Like, rather than just let him out because he's done his what the fuck, you know, it's truancy, and now he's
his debt to society for not going to school is 5 years in prison,
and then more prison,
right.
and then prison. So this is ridiculous, and I call the elephant in the room here, but this is the 60s, and I can't imagine if it was some white kid in the suburbs skipping school, they'd be kept in juvenile facilities for 5 years and then sent to prison for it. I just don't imagine it happening. It's one of those things here. I think definitely class and race are playing a major issue here. Yeah, probably.
He certainly didn't have a chance.
He never had a fucking. Are you kidding me? No,
not by any economic structure from his parents either. But on top of that, there was nothing for him.
At 13, rather than someone take him aside and maybe guide him a little bit, and because at 13 a kid needs guidance probably, more than they need jail.
Nurturing sounds a little more acceptable than.
Especially for truancy. Yeah, he wasn't like a violent felon or anything. So, and even then, 13 is, you can fix 13. Yeah. 13, you're still mushy.
Oh God, yeah.
You're still real malleable. You can be a different person by the time you're older. So anyway, while he's there, now this is 1965. So I'm going to say that the 1947 birthday is probably correct because they would send him to prison when he's 18, which would be 1965.
Yeah.
So we're going to say 47 is probably right. I think that was the one, the record the prison had.
Right.
So that could be going by their records, though. So we don't know if it's real or not. But the prison thought he was born in 1947.
Yeah.
So they send him here in 1965.
I mean, if they get him when he's 13 and keep track of him for the next many years, they should know exactly.
So we're going to call him 1947.
I figure they probably looked at his teeth like a dog and were like, this one's
how many rings does he have? Yeah. I don't know. How many rings? He's 13. Who knows? Right. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus Christ, that's terrible. That's terrible. And it's sad that you said that because they are treating these kids like dogs, basically. To be like, we found him on the street.
Right.
Put him in a cage.
Right.
I don't know, indefinitely. That's how people treat dogs. Yeah. And actually not even, because dogs even have, like, if nobody picked...
Right, there's an expiration date on that.
Yeah, but like the Humane Society,
yeah.
it's I don't know, man. I'm really pissed off about this whole thing. I don't like this shit. So anyway, he goes to prison, and he's a fucking teenager, but he spent a good portion of his life in jail, more than a third of his life. So there he's befriended by a guy named Al Dickens. Now, Al Dickens is in the 16th year of a 51-year sentence for armed robbery.
Oh, he's going to be there a while.
He's that's a hardcore dude. He was in the Army, Al Dickens, and was a boxer in the Army, basically. So that's how this started. Now, Al Dickens says, quote, "When I first saw Scotty, he was a tough punk running around breaking heads with an iron pipe, but I got him thinking about boxing instead." Yeah.
Wow.
That's 13 and you're put in jail, and by the time you're 18, when you go to prison, you go, I got to make my fucking presence known.
Yeah.
I'm not getting fucking punked like I did before. I'm going to start fucking cracking skulls and make everybody know not to fuck with me.
A hard pipe hitting brothers.
Fuck yeah. So he gets him into the boxing program, and he spars with his first partner, actually, in Trenton as like an adult here. And his first sparring partner, Hurricane.
Really?
Yeah, Reuben Hurricane Carter is his first sparring partner.
How about this?
Who, as we know from movies and fucking songs and everything else, he was the former middleweight title challenger. He was a really good boxer. And, everybody knew who he was. He was a famous guy. And so they do a little... Just a 3-round kind of a spar session. And Scott, all he's done is some amateur, without any real training, just putting gloves on and fighting a little bit in the juvie. He lasts 3 full rounds against Hurricane. Wow. Which is a big deal. Very few prisoners have been able to do that against Hurricane. So at that point, Hurricane and this Dickens guy said, dude, you should start training. Like, you got talent. If you can hang with me, you got talent. Like, you don't even know what the fuck you're doing.
Denzel's going to play me. Motherfucker.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Denzel's playing me.
I'm amazing. Yeah. And if you can hang with amazing, then
Didn't
figure
Ving
it out.
Rhames play him?
No, it was It was.
I thought Ving Rhames played him.
No, it was Denzel, right?
I thought Ving Rhames played him.
Am I wrong?
I can't picture Denzel as Hurricane.
I'm pretty sure it was Denzel.
Ving Rhames would make more sense.
Well, Ving Rhames is a lot more horrifying.
He looks more like Hurricane. Yeah. Hurricane doesn't look like Denzel.
What was Hurricane's last name?
Carter. Reuben Hurricane Carter. Harriet Tubman, Jimmy.
Right. I'm an embarrassment. I really am. No, it's definitely him.
Yeah.
It's definitely Denzel.
No, it's Denzel. Okay, I was wrong. All right, so...
Sorry. I didn't want tweets later.
No, you're smart. So
I'm an embarrassment.
No, for that you are. Yeah. So November 5th, 1968, he's released from prison. Ready to start. He's 21 years old.
Yeah.
I guess that's as long as he could be held from the juvenile system to the adult system is 21, so they let him out. So he did 8 years for skipping school.
Wow.
Which, we've had some people on some trumped up charges, but holy shit.
That's amazing.
That's your whole childhood. More than a third of your life behind bars because you didn't go to school.
Holy shit.
Fucking break, man. Jesus Christ. So he's released. He's the amateur boxing thing is there's a thing whether he's an amateur or not here because he boxes a 4-round exhibition fight against an undefeated pro named Joe Burns in 1968 in New Orleans, which later on when he turns pro, people are like, doesn't he have a pro fight? But I guess this is an exhibition and not considered a professional fight, just a whatever. So, who knows? But shit, he's already older than 20 or who knows how old he is. We don't know.
This is great.
This is fucking crazy. So his buddy though says that Dickens guy really got in his ear, really telling him about boxing and fucking really telling him what to do.
Yeah.
And Scott says he really appreciated that advice. Sure. He really did. But he also says, quote, I guess I wasn't listening too close when Dickens tried to teach me about life, though. They let me out of prison on November 5th, 1968, and it wasn't long before I was back. Busted for robbery, doing 13 to 17. That's when I really took up boxing.
Holy shit.
So
why would you even bother by now? I mean, doing 13 to 17, by the time you get out, you are...
Well, you can do 13 at the time. You could get out in less than half of that, so you'd have to do 50% of your time.
But still, you're anywhere between 36 and 65.
Yeah, we don't know. He could be 25, or he could be close to retirement.
Right.
We're not sure. He could be getting Modern Maturity magazine.
I love that the state of New Jersey Whismaned your timeline.
Yeah, they have no idea.
This sounds like me doing the bonus episode. I'm like, what
I don't know. Except this is all official records. They don't have any fucking idea. So never feel bad about yourself, Jimmy, because they don't know any better either.
Maybe one of my relatives was keeping fucking records in Jersey.
It'd have to be 4 of them because it's 2 all different places. Did one of them work for the Miami Herald?
I would not be surprised.
One of them work in the prison system, the other for the Department of Births and Deaths or whatever the fuck it is.
Keeping track of birth dates seems like something that's right up a Whisman's alley.
Yeah, that's
it seems like our skill set. Go file this. Sure. Got it.
Who is this? Harriet Tubman? I don't know. I think I put it under the wrong name. I don't know.
Worse yet, in my head, I was like, don't say Rosa Parks. He's going to make fun of you.
Oh, my God. Jimmy.
I'm doing my best.
You are doing your best. Oh, man. Wow. He's trying, guys.
So in order to sidestep your left and right, I said, what's her name?
What's her name? What's that one? The lady with the slaves,
You know, that girl.
The railroad and all.
Super important to everything that is today. That girl.
She did a lot of stuff. They must have talked about her in school. I don't know.
Worse than that.
Must have come up.
I watched a documentary about her last Thursday.
I bet you did, too.
And I super absorbed it, right?
You know everything.
Especially the name of the character whose story I'm watching.
She's not a character.
You know what I mean?
She's a real person.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
I don't know. This fucking broad. I think she was like the 1800s or something. I don't know. Black chick. Pretty hot.
Yeah, pretty. What the fuck? It's something fucking amazing. Yeah, it's something that took more balls and brains and bravery than anything I've ever done.
And for that, I won't even remember her fucking name. It's great. Very nice. Nicely done.
She rewarded?
by being forgotten a week after a documentary is shown. So, Jesus Christ. That's amazing. So these does a robbery like within a couple months of being released.
Yeah.
He's back in prison for robbery. 13 to 17 years. That's a you, sir, may fuck off.
For sure.
And he admits this one he did. This is he's did it and fucking he's got to pay for it now. And later on he will say, quote, he'll say this in 1978. From 1967 until now, I beat everything in the prison houses. Yeah. When I was locked up when I was young, I had no goals, I had no values. I spent 15 months in the Vroom building, which is the psychiatric hospital grounds where they put basically, it was for PC, for protective custody, and also for mentally ill patients and incorrigible.
Yeah.
It was their hole, basically. They didn't have a hole, they had that. So they'd put him there. He says, quote, my trainer was down there. I spent 15 months down there in the hole.
That'll make you great at boxing.
Wow. That's the worst place I've ever been in my life. That gave me a chance to think. I think when a man is forced with thought under adversity, you're forced to think.
What?
Whoa. Hold on a second.
Say that again.
Let's wait one more time. That gave me a chance to think. Okay. I think when a man is forced with thought under adversity, you're forced to think.
It's a lot of thinking.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's when you, man, am I on acid? What is going on? That's when you begin to realize what you're going to do and what you have to do. I think it was then that I really decided I've got to get a chance. I've got to make it. Nobody's ever went straight to the top. This is unique. The possibilities of a prisoner getting a chance, the fact that he's in prison, maybe it's bad for public image. But I think what will shine is that his good deeds outweigh his bad deeds. Mm-hmm. So he's trying to say there. He also says, quote, I was placed in the hospital for the criminally insane after con fights in this prison. So he's just fighting everybody. Yeah. Just for shits and giggles, I guess, because he's a good fucking fighter. So if you're a pretty good fighter and that's the currency where you are, I'm like, hey, if the baddest motherfucker in here rules the place, why not? And I know I'm a bad motherfucker. Why not show it?
Also, he's in there with people that have mental issues that like want to see your insides on the outside of you.
Absolutely.
At any cost.
And people who just don't even know what they're doing. People who are starting shit with you they don't even realize what they're doing. Yeah. Prison's fucking crazy. And back then too, they would separate the insane from the criminal. You know what I mean? They'd have your criminals and they would, if someone was crazy, they would put them in a fucking, back then people got off on insanity pleas all the time. Not get off, because if you saw what a psychiatric hospital was like in the 50s and 60s.
Get off is not so good.
It ain't getting off. It's bad, but it's not prison. So it's, you get that. Whereas nowadays they just throw everybody in the same shit. You have to literally not know what planet you're on to be considered mentally incapacitated and have to, and be put in a hospital instead of prison. You literally have to hear voices and not know where you are. And it's like you literally have to be on another planet rather than just, hey, this one's kind of fucking nuts.
Right.
And we should probably put them somewhere else.
This guy eats carrots and says they're apples.
Yeah, this is not good.
Crazy enough.
It's not quite. Not quite. So, he says 15 months I was there in protective custody. They said, in those fights, it was life and death. Do you understand me? Chaos. There were stabbings. I defended myself. I wanted to live. I lived. This is exactly my point. Now in the same prison, guys are settling their differences with gloves instead of shivs. He's trying to talk about getting a boxing system here going in prison, because there's kind of the seeds of that happening right now.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel. Well, good. Now put it down. I'm going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this white Zinfandel. Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles,
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit,
At the time, I was paranoid.
threats,
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
and murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
So in the early 1970s, he becomes the light heavyweight champion of the New Jersey prison system.
They have
Yeah,
weight classes and everything.
it's a whole program to
Wow.
where there's rankings and weight classes, and you go, the prisons go for, they bring prisoners to another prison to fight each other. It's a whole thing.
This feels very Django.
It's Django, but it's also good for if they were having them fight like in the laundry room and just having the guards bet on it. That would be different.
Just throwing cash on the concrete floor.
This is like they're training and they're learning and they're taking them to and they're having fights, and then the prisoners are all watching the fights, and they're like, they say like this really helps everybody's mental
and morale too.
It's something to look forward to, and also for the fighters, it's something that they don't have any. This guy doesn't have any skills. The fuck skills does he have? If he can fight, maybe he can box when he gets out. That's something. It's better than nothing. So,
but also you're making
one of those.
You're making a Terminator.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
This program wasn't designed to like I said to Django these people.
Yeah.
This was these people like those people like that. I mean prisoners. That's not the point of what it was. Jesus Christ.
That's the most Andrew Jackson thing you've ever said.
No shit. Jesus Christ. You know what I fucking mean. So it wasn't for that. It was literally for something positive. They were the 70s. They were trying to come up with programs.
It's a form of rehabilitation.
That's what I mean. They're trying to come up with programs in the inside that would get people, so when they get on the outside, they'd have something to do. Unlike now.
They don't do this shit today?
Well, not really this so much.
Okay.
We'll talk about what happened here. He was kicking ass in there. Basically, there was no more opponents for him to fight. He beat the shit out of everybody there was to fight in the system as a light heavyweight in his contention here. So January 8th, 1974, he's released on a work release program.
Okay.
See, this is what I mean. You can do less time and be released, but you're technically still in custody, but you're on a work release program. So you're, whatever. So he's released from Rahway. That's January 8th, 74. And he's never had a pro fight, never had anything like that. But the whole time he's fighting amateur, he's writing letters and calling boxing managers collect.
Brilliant.
Calling promoters, writing letters. I mean, he is really hustling in there trying to get himself something for when he gets on the outside, because also for a work release program, if he can show that people are interested in him, he can get out earlier and go do it. So he's smart. He knows what he's trying hard here. A Miami architect. Odd. Yeah. Miami, Florida architect named Murray Gabby. He's an architect who is he's a part of this Miami Beach businessman group called the Mendoza Group. Yeah. And Mendoza is the name of Daniel Mendoza, who was an 18th century Jewish boxing champion. That's where they get this from, the name.
I thought it was like something Colombian.
It sounds like, it
sounds like drug lords.
I was going to say the Mendoza Group. Right. They brought over 17 tons of cocaine in 1982.
Big cigarette boats.
Big cigarette boats. And they dropped it in square groupers. They dropped it in the water, and you know how it went. No, it's actually an 18th century Jewish boxing champion. You can't get any more different than that. Yeah. So he basically offers his managerial contract on behalf of this businessman group that they're looking for investments. This all the time you see these groups of businessmen that look for investments to do, and this is one of them.
Pool their money,
and they do look for investments. And this guy. The thing that makes him special, that makes him be able to do this, is this Gabby guy. He's got political connections as well. Very good political connections, as a matter of fact. His brother Dan is a heavy hitter in New Jersey politics. Oh. So his brother Dan basically arranges to have Scott paroled to the state of Florida rather than New Jersey, so he can go be managed by this guy's brother, Murray, in Florida. So it's all very silver. It's all very silver.
Right.
There's some silver going on here, but to the advantage of this guy, so that's good. But it's silver. Yeah, this guy deserves a fucking break at this point. Jesus Christ. So basically, while he's paroled to them, they're essentially his like parole officers, basically. Like they're in charge of him. They're not in charge of him, but they're responsible for him. Like they have to tell the prison, like, he's doing fine, he's checking in, he's doing they have to like keep up with appearances like that. So it's odd that a state would parole someone to an architect in Miami.
That's an adult, and he's like
very strange.
A ward of this guy.
That's what I mean. Like
bizarre.
It's bizarre and kind of creepy. Honestly, it's very much Ron LaFleur. We had that same situation with Ron LaFleur, where Billy Martin, who was the manager of the baseball team and very connected in every way, got him out of prison so he could play for the Tigers and all that sort of shit. It's kind of the same deal. Now Scott, at this point, he gets out of jail and they take him to where Muhammad Ali used to train, which is the 5th Street Gym in Miami Beach. And so basically Ali was off preparing to fight Joe Frazier at that point. I think the Thrilla Manila was coming up, the second one. And his brother at the time, Angelo Dundee's brother Chris, was running the gym. Dundee is Muhammad Ali's longtime trainer, and also Ali's personal physician is there as well, Dr. Ferdy Pacheco, and he was on hand, and he watched the first sparring that Scott did when he came in there.
Awesome.
His first fighting. And this is a great quote. He said this later on. Quote, this is Pacheco. "It was right out of Warner Brothers. Scotty had no money. He was in basketball shorts and cut-off denims, basketball shoes and cut-off denims. From odds and ends, we put him together. Willie Pastrano's protective cup, headgear from another guy."
Oh, gross.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then James got in the ring with the resident heavyweight, a well-regarded fighter.
He didn't even have his own cup.
He didn't have anything.
That's gross.
His own cup, have his own headgear. He didn't have shit. I assume they sprayed it out like they do bowling shoes, but still, it's on a guy's balls.
Put on some dial on that shit.
Some sweaty balls there.
Oh, boy.
So, and then they put him in the ring with a heavyweight as well, and he's a light heavyweight. He's like 175 pounds. So this is it's a big dude. They just want to see what he was made of, basically. So
a well-regarded boxer.
Exactly. Yeah. A good fighter, just to see where he's at. Why not? So Gabby, his manager here, Murray Gabby, he says, quote, "When Scott started throwing punches, there was dead silence in the gym. Other fighters stopped and watched. He went 2 rounds, had the guy out on his feet. Everybody gave him an ovation. It's very dramatic."
Wow.
So he came out and everyone was like, where the fuck did this guy come from? So this is just right out of a movie. I mean, the guy comes in with a duffel bag with fucking,
cut off
Levi's and some basketball shorts and no gear.
Shoes.
And he's like, hey.
Some Converse and some Daisy Dukes.
And he's like, "I'm a boxer." And they're
Somebody
like, "Are you now?"
cup?
Yeah, I don't even have a cup. And they put him in the ring against a good fighter and like, let's send this kid back to where he's from. Right. And he fucking does great and beats the shit out of the guy. And everyone's like, holy shit.
Knocks the guy out on his feet with his ass cheeks hanging out.
If this is a movie, you don't believe it at this point. You're like, okay, great. Oh, he's such a bad, it's ridiculous. It's so good of a story. That's how fucking silly it is. How is that not a movie? How is this?
Right, because boxers that are that good are recognizable. Like if Tyson showed up in there with cut off shorts and his balls hanging out, and he's like, "Somebody got a cup for me." Mike, we know who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
You got a tattoo on your face.
But even if they didn't know who he was, and he'd be like, whatever, and then he could hit the bag for 5 seconds, and they go, "Who the fuck is that guy?"
Right.
Like boxing is like comedy. You know it as soon as you fucking see it. You see it. There's a certain pop a guy has. There's a certain something. It's just like with a comic. You can tell when a comic's got it, and you can tell when a boxer's got it. It's the same shit. So he makes his pro debut. So he got out of jail on the 5th of January, I believe, the 8th of January, 1974, makes his pro boxing debut January 22nd.
2 weeks later.
2 fucking weeks later. I mean, he is, wow, you're not even acclimated to out of jail yet.
Right.
Holy shit,
Water
man.
still tastes different to him.
Yeah, he's still like, doesn't open doors for himself and shit, because he doesn't, I can open that now. Like, that's
he
how.
He still expects the water to shut off on a timer in the shower.
Yeah.
Like, this is bizarre.
Where's the button? So this is down in Miami Beach, where most of his fights in this era will take place. He's 178 pounds, and he is fighting Big John L. Johnson is his name, and he is 215 pounds.
Oh, boy.
So somehow they have some weird interweight class professional fight here. I don't understand how this works.
40-pound difference?
Yeah,
that's a lot.
That's a shitload, especially if both guys know how to fight. That's silly, you know? Like if one guy's a boxer and the other guy didn't know how to fight, who cares? But they're both fucking pros. Big John L. Johnson's 8-0 coming into this fight.
And he's undefeated.
He's undefeated. But his career record will be 12-24-1. So
he was figured out very short session after that.
Yeah, he goes 4-24 for the rest of his. You got it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Harriet Tubman's got your back. So basically, this Johnson guy puts Scott on the mat in the first round, knocks him down in the first round, just based on size alone. But Scott basically gets up and just ends up pounding this guy for the next 3 or 4 rounds. And I found an old article that says that he knocked Johnson out in the 4th, but then I found on boxing record sites that it went all 6 rounds and it was a unanimous decision for Scott. So
either way he won
the fight.
That's awesome.
And it sounds like the reporter was probably there, so I'm going to go with he probably knocked him out basically here. So that's 1-0, and his father was waiting for him in the dressing room.
What?
They hadn't seen each other in 12 years.
I'll bet.
12 fucking years. Yeah, since he's been in prison.
And
he
now we're
never came and saw him in jail.
Right.
Jesus Christ. Thanks, Dad.
I was in jail for fucking truancy. Where were you then?
Where the fuck were you then? You could have gotten me out probably if you would have said you'd take care of me and stuff and make sure I go to school, I'm sure. So he said, though, they saw each other, were like, hey, and before they even got a chance to talk, he got pulled back out into the arena because the ring announcer said, ladies and gentlemen, let's bring back out James Scott. Because they wanted to give him another round of applause because basically everybody knew his story and it was his first pro fight and he got out of prison, and at the same time from the beginning it was a Rocky versus Ivan Drago situation. Like he was noticeably smaller and the crowd was rooting for him because he was spunky, and then he ended up beating the shit out of this bigger guy who put him down.
Unbelievable.
That's a Rocky situation. The crowd fucking loved him. They went crazy.
Feel good story.
And his style too is very aggressive. He's very aggressive, very crowd pleasing. He's
you
not
mean like a convict?
You know, like a well, I mean, he's not standing around waiting for you to come to him. He's going after you and he's taking the fight to you. People love that shit. So February 5th, 1974, 2 weeks later, he's fighting again in Miami Beach. He fights a guy named Hydra Lacey, which sounds like a He-Man villain.
Right.
Hydra Lacey.
Right. That's something that swims in the ocean.
Yeah, and then comes out and,
and sinks your ships.
It's like a sandworm and gets you. He's 6'10" coming in, and James knocks him out in the 3rd round. So it's 2-0 for him. 2 weeks later, February 19th, they got him on a schedule. 74 in Miami Beach. He fights Willie the Invader Johnson.
Oh, boy.
He's invading Miami Beach with a 20-34-2 record.
Yeah.
And this is a TKO in the 8th round for Scott. So he wins again, 3-0, March 5th, 74. So 2 weeks later.
Good Christ.
It's like every other Saturday. He's fighting.
This is his 4th fight or 4th fight?
He just fought his 3rd fight.
Right.
Now he's
this is
going
his 4th
for his
fight
4th.
coming up before 3 months
it's been a month and a half.
Career.
It's been a month and a half.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, a month and a half. He's
Still
in
the
3
same
fights.
season.
It's fucking nuts, man. So this is in Miami, March 5th. He fights Baby Boy Roll. That's not his real name. His real name is Abraham Kirkwood, but he goes by Baby Boy Roll.
I would too.
I don't know why, but okay. He's 39-4 coming in. This is a guy who's had some experience. He's got 30 wins. That's no joke. Ends up 33-18-4 for his career. So this is the downside of it. But still, he's a fighter that knows what he's doing. And this is, again, an 8th round TKO win for James. So he's 4-0, and now he's beat somebody who has 30 wins. So, I mean, they're starting to look for him.
Yeah.
They're starting to look at him like maybe he's serious.
It's very impressive.
He seems like something. Now, he's having a hard time, though, adjusting outside the ring. Inside the ring, it's fine. He loves to fight, and he's good at it, and it's something that he's fucking good at. Think about it. If you're put in jail from the time you're 13, you're never supported. You're never propped up, and he's good at this, and no one's ever done that for you. They didn't even make sure you went to school, for Christ's sake, so no one's ever done anything. This is something that he's probably the first thing he's getting, like, actual praise from people that, and it's not like a criminal enterprise either. It's nothing like on the streets. This is a legitimate thing. Legitimate people are telling him he's great. Like, that has to feel wonderful. But at the same time, it's hard for him. He says, this is an interesting adjustment thing. Quote, in prison, you get one spoon that you keep with you in your cell, and you take it to and from meals. Lots of times in Miami Beach, I'd automatically pick up a spoon in a restaurant and put it in my pocket. And then I'd look at see the look on the waitress's face. In her mind, quote, they're all the same, all thieves. That's what he said. So he'd just take a spoon and put it. Right. That was his normal thing, just habit of years of doing it. And yeah, he said that he felt that would be like, oh shit, everyone's looking at me. And then he felt like people thought he was a thief, and people were being. So I could see that he feels uncomfortable in regular society because he hasn't really spent any time in regular society.
Right.
If you're in jail from the time you're 13 to fucking 25, you don't know how to interact with people. You don't know how to be an adult.
Do they still do that today with the spoon?
No, because now it's a shank. So they would probably
file it down in the cell.
Now you're not allowed to bring silverware back to your room.
Good Lord.
Also, you can dig with it. There's all sorts of shit you can do with a spoon that,
Good Lord.
Yeah. But back then, that was a way to save on, I don't know, silverware.
I suppose.
Or washing
it, make them wash it in their sink.
I guess, yeah. Wash your own spoon. Fucking weird, right? So, April 2nd, 1974 in Miami. Again, he's fighting Frank Evans this time. He's a 14-21-1 fighter coming in. So, journeyman. This is a unanimous decision win in 6 rounds for James, 5-0. April 23rd, a couple weeks later here, he's fighting Sugar Ray Anderson. Can't call yourself Sugar Ray.
Too many.
You got to be really good. This guy's not bad, though. Yeah. He comes into the fight 34-11-2.
Okay.
That's good. It's not quite sugar territory, but it's good.
Maybe Splenda.
You're not Robinson, Leonard, or Mosley at that point, but you're
some sweet and low in there.
Something, yeah. He's sort of sweet Ray Anderson. Hint of sweetness, Ray Anderson here. So this guy's career, though, he's 34-11-2 coming in. He finishes his career 35-19-5. He only won 1 fight in his final 15 fights.
Wow.
He won 1 out of his last 15 fights, this guy. So he held on way too fucking long. Way too long. And this is one of those fights. Yeah. And this is a unanimous decision win. He's one of those guys that can go the distance probably. He knows how to hang on, but he's done, this Ray Anderson.
It's over.
So 6-0 for James here. And he said that outside the ring, he's always had his guard up. He was very leery of everybody.
Sure.
The only person, he had a woman that he's been with for years at this point, for a couple years now, and he said she's the only one he can really let his guard down with. Everybody else he feels he feels like the whole world's prison because his whole life has been in fucking prison.
Trust nobody.
Exactly. So, he said that, he's just having a hard time, but with like reporters and everything, he's really good. Yeah. He's sharp. He's easily happy to give a statement, and his story is very interesting. So it's funny because everyone says he's a dick to everybody except reporters. He's nice to reporters. He'll give them a show, and then he'll be like, "Oh, fuck you, man!" And nobody else he can go fuck themselves. Like, he's known as very surly.
That's awesome.
Like a guy who's been in prison for a long time. That happens. Murray Gabby, he said, quote, he was not easy under any circumstances. He said, just once he would end once his training was over, he just didn't know. He always felt like he was being cheated. Yeah. He always felt like he was being taken advantage of. He was always like looking over his shoulder.
Sure.
Like you would be doing prison. You know what I mean? That's very understandable.
It's half of his life.
And in the world of boxing, you should do that anyway, because these motherfuckers are shadier than comedy clubs. They're shady as fuck.
They're shadier than prisoners.
Shadier than they're worse than wrestling promoters. Put it that way. That's saying something. Yeah. I'm really laying it down there.
There are very few boxing promoters or trainers that have a positive reputation all around,
because they've robbed people for years and years. If you look at Vince McMahon, who's obviously a scumbag. I don't care if you like him or not.
It's not even close.
You would never trust that guy with $1 of yours, or he's clearly a scumbag. Yeah. He's whatever. Many reasons for that, for fucking, Vince being a scumbag. But like, I don't know. He's a scumbag, but Bob Arum's 10 times worse. Put it that way. Who's the big boxing promoter? He makes Vince McMahon look like a fucking angel. Never mind Don King, because Arum's worse than him too. So, in my opinion, anyway, because he sues people. Yeah. So, well, scumbag is an opinion. I mean, obviously, he's not a literal bag of scum.
That's actually used rubber, I believe.
I think so. There you go.
And if you're being called that, then
you can't be sentient at that point. It would be difficult.
And then try to be better.
Yeah, that's the thing. So they all said too, as he got more popular, he got more paranoid about everything, because now everyone, I don't know why, but he didn't get more comfortable, he got less comfortable. Basically, he couldn't deal with it. Everybody said he's walking a tightrope, basically, because if he keeps excelling at this, his life's going to go well. But if anything falls off this for him, he's fucked, basically. So, apart. Yeah, and he seems to be very aware of that and that sort of thing here. They said the fear was good for him in boxing, but bad for him in life, basically, is how it was. So, May 1974, May 14th in Miami, he fights Coley Valiente Laela. Laia. Oh, there you go. 6-5 coming in. He knocks him out. Scott does. He's 7-0. July 9th, 1974 in Miami again. He fights Bobby Floyd, who's a 1927-3 career fighter. This goes the distance, but James wins it, and he's 8-0. So, yeah, he's doing fine here. Not doing too bad. And the problem was, at this point, he's pummeling people, and the way he fights, people don't like to fight him because he's very aggressive.
So it's going to be tough to get fights?
It's tough to find opponents, and that's what the Murray Gabby said. He says, quote, "It was a nightmare trying to find someone who would get in the ring with him. It was horrible, but Chris Dundee had to pay people to fight that animal." So
really?
That's what he said. Yeah, he had to pay people an extra amount to fight him because he was dangerous, basically. He's he's not just going to stand there and jab with you for 12 rounds.
That's awesome.
He's coming for you.
I've never heard of him.
It's fucking great. Well, you've heard of him now. You didn't know who Harriet Tubman was, and Tubman was an hour ago.
I may have heard of him.
Yeah, you've heard of him. He watched a documentary on him 2 weeks ago, as a matter of fact. Jimmie read a whole book on it. So, September 10th, 1974. This is in Miami. He fights David Lee Royster, who's 6-4-1 coming in. And Royster, basically, this fight goes on. It goes into the 6th round. Scott is ahead on all the cards. And at that point, he gets headbutted by Royster. So he responds, rather than just feeling his head and going to the ref like you can take a fucking point or what. Right. He responds with an attack on his groin.
Oh, Jesus.
He responds by just taking a couple of big punches at Royster's ball bag. That's his fucking response, which is understandable. Yeah. An on-purpose headbutt is, in boxing, that's the shittiest thing you can do, is that on-purpose fucking headbutt. You open up cuts, which that's
super cheating.
Totally outside of the realm of fucking what you're supposed to be doing in there. So that's why Tyson bit Holyfield's ear. Because he kept getting fucking headbutted over and over and over again. So this time he gets headbutted. Scott punches him in the nutsack. Royster falls to the ground. So he got whaled in his ball bag.
Lucky he didn't get kicked. The guy's a prisoner for Christ's sake.
Who knows? Lucky he didn't get stabbed. So the referee deducted 2 points from Scott for this.
Really?
Instead of 1. He called it a severe low blow and deducted 2 points for this. Now, in the 8th round, Royster headbutted him again. And this time, he opened up a big gash over Scott's eye. Now, this is when people really get fucking pissed, because a cut will fucking end the fight, and it's not from a punch, it's from you. Now, this, apparently, he hit a vein here on this or something, and the blood was squirting out.
Oh,
which can happen if you hit the right spot.
Right on the fucking eyebrow?
Yeah, so it was basically pouring over his eyes, and he couldn't see shit.
That's the part that's the shitty part.
That's the shit part, yeah.
You're even if it doesn't hurt that bad.
No, it doesn't hurt. You don't feel don't feel a fucking cut in your eye like that.
If it's not something that is
for now
causing you unbelievable pain.
It's swelling. It's the swelling and the bleeding.
And the blood in the eye is crazy.
Your eye closes with the swelling, and then blood fills it. So it's like, fuck, I can't see anything. So the ring doctor wanted to stop the fight. Scott convinced him not to here. No points were deducted from Royster for either headbutt.
That's fucked up.
Which is shitty. A lot of times those headbutts don't get called because fighters are good and they know how to make them look like you're just moving around.
Right.
You know what you're, but the fighters know when it's intentional. You feel your head and you know where you're at.
Yeah.
So Scott's, though, the low blow on the point card, this goes all the way to the distance, and it turns out to be a draw. So those 2 points that he got deducted were the difference between him winning the fight and a draw.
Damn it.
So basically he got fucked on that one too.
For nothing.
So he's 8-0-1 now and good and fucking pissed off.
Oh, I'm sure.
He's good and pissed off. Afterwards, he's getting stitched up. The Miami News talks to him and he says, "You can print I'm venerable." He means vulnerable, by the way. As his trainer later on said it. But he said, "You can print I'm venerable." He said, "I'm not superhuman. Yeah, everybody can see I'm venerable. I cut too."
He said it again.
He said it twice. Which, whatever. I bet he knows who Harriet Tubman is, so I wouldn't laugh too fucking hard.
That's a good point.
So,
also, I'm impressed that he was even going to use that word, being that he hasn't been in school since he was 13.
And before that, for a long time, because he was truant. He probably hasn't been to school since the 4th grade, so that's not bad.
That's pretty impressive.
He got a V and it ended in a bull. That's not bad. It's not bad at all.
And the context he was using it, we understood.
Was correct. We got what he was saying. That's right. And then his manager jumped in, by the way, to like kind of, because I guess, plus he's been hitting the head a lot. He's been headbutted.
Right.
His manager, Gabby, jumps in and says, quote, he's not losing anything. This just shows he's human, that he's got blood. Basically, like, see, he's fine. And Chris Dundee, the trainer, he went out a little further here. He called out the lightweight champion, Bob Foster, light heavyweight champion, Bob Foster, with an offer of $100,000 to defend against Scott.
Wow.
Publicly, he puts it out there. So Scott then said, quote, "I'm going to make history. Secretariat doesn't run in a year like I fight in a month. I'm going to fight for the title in 10 fights. I'm so pregnant with this idea, I'm going through labor pains." That's
I love
fucking
him.
awesome.
I
right?
absolutely love.
You love
guy.
this guy? I fucking like this guy.
Great.
He's impossible not to like. That's the thing. You got to fucking like him. He's got a good spirit.
Pregnant. I'm having labor pains. Later on, he'll use that too. He'll say, "I'm pregnant. I need to deliver this baby." He'll say, it's fucking out there. So at this point, he's awesome.
He's earned a few bucks. He's earned about $15,000 in the early 70s, which isn't terrible. He gets his own apartment.
Yeah.
He's got a girlfriend that lives in an apartment. He buys himself a new blue Chevy car.
Okay.
I don't know which model, but he's got a blue Chevy and an apartment and a girlfriend.
It's not a Chevette. He's doing all right.
You know what? It's better
Even
than being in prison.
Yeah.
He's not in prison. This is a fucking miracle that he can support him. I mean, honestly, he's had no education, no chance. Nobody helped him. But now people, he wants title shots. People are looking at him like he might be able to get a title shot here. He's an interesting guy. November 19th, 74 in Miami, he fights Raul Arturo Loyola. And he's 15-10-3. This is another unanimous decision win. He's 9-0-1. And he's kind of getting bored with these guys. He wants
a big fight.
Wants a title fight. And he's bored in general, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
So basically, he's supposed to be in Miami. He's supposed to not leave the state of Florida and always be checking in with Gabby. And, he's supposed to be, he's technically still, a prisoner, basically. So instead, what he starts doing is he starts driving back to Newark to hang out.
Oh, that's such a long drive.
It's all the way up the East Coast.
Good
it's
Lord.
12 hours, so you can do it in a day.
That's so far.
It's a far drive, and it's also one of our main rules not to break is never go home. Mm-hmm. So he goes home, though, and I don't even know why he's going back there, too. He has no
reason.
People he knew when he was 12.
Right.
Like, I mean, I get that he's comfortable there and whatever. His brothers and sisters are there, but there's really no fucking reason for him to be going back there, especially since it's against his parole.
Right.
So he says that he went there looking for better sparring partners, which your fucking trainer is Chris Dundee. Yeah. If you need sparring partners, you tell the people that you pay a percentage of your purse to, that's their job, is to find you sparring. But you don't go drive to New Jersey to find your own sparring partners.
Right.
That's crazy. So he said, that's what you want there. Ridiculous. So February 25th, 1975, he fights Jesse Burnett, who has the exact same record as him. They're both 9-0-1 coming in, which is weird as shit.
It's hard to find somebody that has that record at all.
Yeah, 9-0-1, both of them. Perfect fight. This guy will end up being 25-17-2 in his career, so not bad. More wins than losses. This goes the distance as well, and it's a majority decision win for James.
Great.
So he's 10-0-1 now. which is pretty goddamn cool. And then finally, after 10 wins, because he had to get to 10, you got to get to double digits before they're going to look at you for a title fight.
Magic number.
Yeah, it's 9 is garbage. So May of 1975, this is a big deal. He gets told that he is lined up. They've lined up a championship fight with him against John Conta of Great Britain, who is the light heavyweight champion at the time.
Okay.
So he is fucking psyched.
Sure.
Finally, he's done it. Let's talk about it. Let's let him tell you about it. He says, quote, "I had made it. A title shot for $100,000. He's getting paid $100,000 in 1974.
That's incredible.
That's a fuckload of money in 1970.
What month?
1974.
What month?
That is May of 1974.
5 months after prison release, he's up for $100,000.
A year and 5 months.
Oh, okay.
74.
Right.
He was released to 75.
Got
but
it.
still, are you fucking kidding
It's pretty
me?
impressive.
$100,000 back then, that's a shitload of money. That's probably $800,000 now, $900,000, some crazy shit like that.
A year and a half removed from prison.
Not bad.
Right.
From the time when you were 13.
Right.
So that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing. He said, a title shot for $100,000. My dream had come true. A press conference was set up for a Thursday, and we were going to announce the fight. On Wednesday, the police picked me up. Yeah. He's got real bad timing.
Really?
Real bad timing.
What'd he
Literally,
do?
Thursday was a press conference announcing this title fight, and the night before he gets arrested.
What did he do?
Well, let's find out here. This is bad stuff. He was back in Newark, like a fucking dummy. Don't go back to Newark.
Right.
Don't go home, criminal athletes. Don't.
If you get out of Newark, never go back to Newark.
Back to Newark.
Whether you're from there or not.
Yeah, there's no reason for any of us to go to Newark, okay? Let's just say that right now. Really, there's no reason. The Nets moved to Brooklyn. There's nothing there. It's fine. Newark's they're trying to revitalize Newark. It's one of those cities. It's like it's old, and so it's like you want it to be good, but you don't want it to be like cupcake shops and gentrified and shit. So it's like
I don't even allow my flights to go through their airport.
that's smart. It's probably for the best.
Staying the fuck out of Newark always.
So that's the only reason why Newark is there, so New Yorkers can go around traffic by flying into New York. And then if you're going like upstate or something, you can avoid traffic. That's the only reason why they're there.
Newark and drive.
You have to do JFK or LaGuardia or the pain in the ass ones. So May 8th, 1975. More accurately, it's about midnight on May 7th, 1975. So just turning into May 8th. So midnight in Newark. Not great. Yeah. So there's a guy named Everett Russ. He's standing out in front of a bar on Howard Street in Newark with a friend of his. Now he's approached from what this is the state's version of everything. This is the state's version. And there's multiple versions. Yeah. State's version says he's approached by James Scott. And Russ climbed into a blue 4-door sedan, which is
his Chevy.
He's got a blue Chevy, blue 4-door sedan with Scott and a couple other people. This guy. Now, the car proceeded to the Lincoln Projects in Newark, which are projects, where Russ led them to the apartment of a guy named Leo Skinner. That's the plan. Okay. Now the way this Everett Russ told it, Skinner, what he told them, Skinner would be able to buy drugs for them in the building next door. So they're like, you know where we could get something? Yes, he goes here. This guy will go get it for you. You know how it goes. It's fucking.
You left Florida to get drugs
in Newark,
right?
That's what I'm saying.
Well, leaving Florida,
yeah. I mean, you left Miami to get drugs, which seems really counterproductive.
You can't find drugs in Miami,
and we don't know if it's drugs for him, drugs for people he's with.
Either way.
No idea. No fucking clue here. And they don't drug test anybody back then or anything like that. So, I mean, maybe he wants to do a couple lines or something and celebrate, or who the fuck knows what's going on. So basically, in that building where the guy was supposed to go get the Skinner guy would be able to go buy them drugs over there. Basically, they go to that building. They get in the elevator to go up. They hold the elevator door for a woman named Yvonne Barrett, who lived up on the 10th floor with her sister Antoinette. Now, Barrett, that apartment was the same place they were going, which is interesting. They were headed up there. So basically, the Leo Skinner guy said, we don't want to go up there for drugs with the whole group banging on the door. It looks bad. Yeah. So the Leo Skinner guy stops the elevator on the 8th floor and fucking gets out to say, let's let them go up and then we'll go up after them, so it doesn't look like a whole horde of people coming to the drug dealer's house.
Got it.
You know how that goes. So they do that. At one point, one of the guys that Scott was with, a guy named William Spinks, who is not related to Leon or Michael. Spinks. You're like, Jesus, more Boxers Brothers? Fuck. This guy pulls out a pistol.
Oh, no.
Okay. And he orders Skinner and Barrett, the woman there, out of the basically out of the elevator. Scott went with them as well. Basically, Everett Russ rode down to the lobby and waited in the sedan with the other guys and for Scott to come back. Now, back in the building on the 8th floor, it's said that Spinks handed the weapon to Scott, who pistol whipped Skinner and ordered him to take his clothes off. That's the... Yeah, strip, motherfucker.
This is getting wild.
This is getting interesting. That's what Spinks told. Now, Spinks later on held a gun on Yvonne Barrett and robbed her sister's 10th floor apartment as well, because that's where the drugs were, of $283.
Oh boy!
And a bunch of glassine baggies with fucking white powder. So a bunch of coke and $283 basically. At about 1:30 that morning. The thing is, about 1:30 that morning, the blue 4-door sedan is riding down one of the streets, and they stop and open a door and push somebody out.
Yeah.
And it is the bullet-riddled body of Everett Russ that gets pushed out of the sedan onto the middle of a Newark street. Now, problem was... Yeah. So somehow Everett Russ, from going down to the lobby and getting in the car, from there to the street, somehow was shot in the car or around the car and ended up being shoved out of the car onto the street.
Oh my God.
So this is
fighting for $100,000 and you're involved in this shit?
This is what I mean. This is why you don't go home.
Yeah.
Because even if you have the best of intentions, you just want to see your friends, the people you grew up with aren't in the same shit you are.
No.
Their lives aren't. They don't have something like that on the horizon. It's as shitty as it is. Yes, if you have some people from where you're from or from your childhood or whatever that are decent people you want to take care of, and yeah, I get that. Bring them along, but you can't be going back and pretending like you're not what you are at this point in time.
And robbing drug dealers for their drugs and $283.
It's a dangerous game, number one.
That's
you get killed
wild,
like that.
yeah.
And then on the second part, you can also have what happened happen.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus.
Have you ever gotten a message out of the blue? Maybe you ignore them, or maybe you end up in conversation. Maybe they tell you about an amazing offer.
I can really show you how to make some money.
And maybe that gets you into a lot of trouble. But this isn't a story about people like you, the people receiving these messages. This is a story about the people behind the messages, on the other end of the line. Thousands of them, working in a microcity built for scammers. From Wondery, the makers of Dr. Death and Kill List, comes Scam Factory, a new series about survival at the expense of others. Follow Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Scam Factory early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
In here, so Everett Russ is and he's dead on the street.
Yeah.
Multiple gunshot wounds, lying in the middle of the street. Now, this is in the middle of the night in Newark, so you figure no one's going to see that. Problem was, somebody watched it.
Yeah.
There was a car passing them up the street that saw it happen, and this particular person at 1:30 in the morning decided to write down the license plate number of this car.
Out of your mind.
Which never happens.
Not my business.
In Newark, nobody, fucking, I don't know what the fuck
I don't
happened.
want anything to do with those guys. They're willing to dump a body on the street? What the fuck chance do I have?
Well, they took down the plate and called the cops and gave them the license plate, and the license plate is attached to Scott's car. So, obviously, they would like to have a chat with Scott since his car was seen dumping a fucking corpse out on the street. Not great. So May 10th, 1975, Scott, the police asked him, will you turn your car into us so we can look it over for evidence and blah, blah, blah. He says, no problem. So he turns his car over to the police.
Forensic Files has not been on the air yet. Oh, boy.
No, it's not great. And also, no. If they get a warrant, great. Otherwise, don't volunteer shit if you're this guy.
Ever.
And you've been in prison. I'd be very leery if I'm him. He says, and this is amazing that he thought this, he says, quote, I thought that I was a celebrity and there'd be no problem. I hadn't done anything wrong. What did I need a lawyer for? I figured to take my car down there, answer some questions, and come back home. Problem is, he's arrested when he brings his car in. His car had reportedly been seen in the area where the body was found, dumping it out, as a matter of fact. The car contained blood stains, a bullet hole as well.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, not great. Police held Scott after he passed a lie detector test. That's the thing. They gave him a lie detector. He passed the lie detector, and then they held him as a material witness. Anyway, because they said he could flee, and then eventually they end up charging him with murder.
Oh no!
So he passed a lie detector, though. That's normally how they eliminate suspects, which is interesting.
That's fascinating.
They said, "What the fuck? Then what's your deal?" His story is, he said the day before the murder, he loaned his car to a friend, a guy named William Sphinx. He said William Sphinx returned the car to his girlfriend, to Scott's girlfriend, the next day. That's it. Now Sphinx, we'll talk about what happens.
Is it Sphinx or Sphinx?
Sphinx.
Okay.
This one says Sphinx. The other one says Sphinx.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Sphinx because they made a reference to Leon in the thing, so it's probably not that. So it's probably Sphinx.
Sure.
Yeah, well, it's two different things. The difference is the X and the H.
Got it.
So anyway, Sphinx will have his own problems later on, as we'll talk about. But Scott told police he loaned the car. He said, that's it. I brought it in when he asked me to, and then they tell him, you guys tell me there's blood in a bullet hole, so he asked me questions. I passed your lie detector. What the fuck, basically? Yeah. So Newark police and prosecutors, they're trying to figure it out. He's basicly... He's got his own investigators here too, because he's got his boxing people are also looking into this because there's a lot of money on the line.
Yeah.
So they're basically turning into private investigators. This one guy he investigates, the guy Ham is his last name. Scott tells him that he's being framed for something he didn't do. And, what the fuck? And so Ham says that it's probably because of Scott's connection with a former prison mate who's running a robbery ring from Rahway, which steals from drug dealers.
Got it.
And we'll talk about that, too, because that'll come up. Now, Dan Gabby, who is Murray's brother and the New Jersey he's into politics in New Jersey. He's also a prominent advertising executive. He said that he learned the murder was connected to a drug-related robbery and that he didn't hear that Scott had anything to do with it. So they're all saying that Scott's innocent and they're going to fight for him here. Basically, Scott told this Ham guy that he'd been indicted in order to pressure basically him into telling on other people is what his whole deal is. And they made no other arrests right away, just him.
And he passed the lie detector test.
Which is weird, yeah. Dan Gabby said through street contacts, he made inquiries about Scott's involvement. How does he have street contacts? He said, quote, there's an awful lot that doesn't make sense. They don't know his involvement, but they feel he had some knowledge of what was going on. Scott knows the law of the street. Right now he's playing chicken. Either he feels they don't have enough evidence on him and he'll get off, or he might crack if they have anything. That's kind of what he's doing. He's waiting them out. Well, fine. You're going to fucking charge me. You don't have any evidence. So, but they do. They have only evidence for him. They don't have evidence for anybody else. That's the problem.
It's your car with bullet holes and blood in it.
Yeah,
and you're
absolutely.
Here.
And also, he said that Gabby also said his case is further complicated because of the case of Reuben Hurricane Carter, who's also having his issues, so that's not helping Scott any. Basically, Scott told Ham that he would defend himself if necessary, but he wouldn't like when he's in jail. He said, don't fucking do anything in jail. He goes, if people fuck with me, I'm going to defend myself. Have to. Now, the New Jersey public defender that he has said, quote, we've had this problem before. A lot of black people like Scott think of us as blue-eyed devils or something.
Oh, boy.
Holy shit. I understand Scott's kind of suspicion based on the environment he grew up with. I don't agree with it, but I can understand it. Okay, he was put in fucking jail for fucking 5 years for truancy.
Right.
8 for truancy. How is he not supposed to think that? I think it's been fucking proven to him over and over fucking again.
Very consistent.
It's very consistent.
The only thing consistent in his life, actually, is that you guys are dicks to him.
That's it. It's the only thing he's had in any consistency in family and anything else.
Anything.
The system will be a dick to him. Right. No problem. So, yeah. The state theory of the whole thing is that Scott used Russ as basically Scott used Russ just to find out the location of narcotics, basically. Like rather than get drugs, he wanted this guy to lead him to drugs, and then they were going to get rid of Russ so Russ didn't tell who the fuck robbed, basically. That's how it was. So they said that they shot him to death because Scott feared Russ's knowledge of the robbery, and was upset by the robbery's low proceeds too, because they only made $283.
Yeah, that's tough.
So basically everybody was mad, and this Russ guy was pissed off. Now a weapons expert testifies later on that the bullet recovered from Russ's body was the same width as another found in Scott's car. So, I mean, it's not a ballistic match. No. Also, this Goldberg, who's the forensic guy, he said that an expanded shell casing found in Scott's car was the same manufacturer as unfired cartridges police found in Scott's apartment. So that's the same manufacturer. That's what they say. Who knows?
There's a lot of Winchesters
This
out
is
there.
very fucking, this is all.
You think that they didn't make more than one box, to turn a fucking profit?
That's what I mean, Scott is on parole and shouldn't have bullets or guns or anything, but still, that doesn't mean he murdered somebody. Those are very different. Yeah, so they're talking about indicting him and all this shit. They're bringing him up for indictment of first-degree murder. They're talking about for him. He says he doesn't. No shit. I lent my car to that guy. That's it. He said that now he comes out later on. Now that he's charged, he's like, listen, I'll tell you more of the story. Fuck. He goes, he said, I lent my car to Spinks. I had nothing to do with shit. Basically, this is a conspiracy involving the police against me. He said that Spinks' accomplice in the crime was someone from Newark named Blackjack, who Scott said that he resembled him in appearance. He said, so I could see people thinking it was me if it's Blackjack, because we look a lot alike, and if it's my car and Blackjack, they're going to think it's me.
Got it.
When it's not. He said that William, they're trying to find William Spinks to get his version of it, but they never do, because a month later, he is robbed in a stick-up and murdered. So they never get any.
Who got murdered? Blackjack?
No. Fucking William Spinks gets murdered.
Oh, shit.
So, he ends up getting murdered. A month later, he's stuck up in the streets and murdered.
Oh, no.
So, police never got him. They never questioned him. They don't know shit. This would help out Scott a lot if he's telling the truth.
But also, this case melts away. Maybe it doesn't. God damn it.
Well, here's the thing. Leo Skinner, who's one of the other people there, he offered to basically the police, he talked to the police about Blackjack, and this is questioned by the Essex County prosecutor here. Basically, he said that Blackjack and Scott, quote, could go for brothers. They look so close. Okay. He said, but Skinner also claimed there was differences. Blackjack was smaller and his hairstyle was slightly different, but from a distance in the dark, so the question to him is, did Blackjack beat you up the night of May 8th, 1975? Skinner says, no, sir. They said, did Blackjack stick a gun in your mouth on May 8th, 1975? He says, no, sir. He said, did Blackjack make you strip off all your clothes on May 8th, 1975? Skinner answers, no, sir. He says, did Blackjack threaten to throw you off the roof on May 8th, 1975? No, sir. Who did all those things to you on May 8th, 1975? James Scott.
Oh, my
is what he says. So, that's not great.
No.
That is bad for him. That's
he Suge Knighted him.
That's naked. Worse. That's way worse. That's fucking worse.
Holy shit.
And we don't know if that guy's telling the truth or not, but
that's
whatever.
a hell of a story.
I would fucking say. So September 19th, 1975, he's in jail, waiting trial rather than fighting for the light heavyweight title of the world. It's fucked up, man. He says he has no money. It's first-degree murder, armed robbery, and violation of parole he's in for.
That's a lot.
And he's being tried for. He says he has no money. He says he can't afford the lawyer who charges $5,000 in advance. He says he's refused efforts by the ACLU to give him legal representation. Why, I don't know. And as Scott wrote, he doesn't trust a public defender. Which I don't blame him. You shouldn't. They're not. No. They're trying to get you to take a plea and move on to the next thing. They're busy.
They got shit to do.
Yeah, he says, quote, here, other efforts to help him have failed. Basically, Murray Gabby, that guy, he says that he gave Scott back his contract so it could be used as ready cash for a lawyer, is what he says. For parole purposes, however, the organization will still sponsor Scott. They said if there's possible, but there's been no takers for the contract, so nobody has bought it. It's there. So Scott basically is kind of fucked. He's obviously kind of shit out of luck. And here is a letter from jail that he writes.
Oh,
this is a letter from jail. This is
a letter from camp.
This is a letter from camp. This is how this started. So there's only one thing to do. We have to do, and in their own words, quote, let's see here. I am innocent, and the lawyer I want costs money. You know I don't steal. Hell, there's more money to steal in Miami if I wanted to steal. I'm a professional. I can prove where I was with who I was. The reason I don't want to give my information to the police is because they scare your witnesses and run them away. The public defenders are even scared away by the state because they work for the state. This is why I need a good lawyer.
Huh?
Fair.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong about any of that shit. So he says, what the fuck? He says that he's everybody's watching his case in jail. He says, quote, all the prisoners are. What's the sense of a guy going home from jail, doing his best to get out, then when he makes a record of decency for himself in society, and society doesn't support him? So he says all the prisoners are rooting for him, type of thing. They want him to get off. During his trial, Newark homicide detective Thomas Pusanato, he testified that Scott admitted he and another man robbed 2 Newark women. He also testifies that on May 9th, Scott took detectives to the apartment where the robbery occurred. This is very different from what he's saying. Yeah. They're literally saying not only did he confess, but he then took them on a fucking field trip to the place, which is way different than what he's saying. Right. He's saying, I didn't do shit and took a lie detector and passed and I'm fine. So it's very fucking different. So basically, that statement's ruled inadmissible, though, so that's a big court fight. But it's all the evidence we just gave you. That guy testifies, Leo Skinner, that he says Scott did all this shit to me. Right. So it doesn't look good for him.
No.
Jury deliberates for 20 hours.
Okay, that's a
good
good sign.
On the charge of armed robbery, they find him guilty of that. Guilty of parole violation as well, obviously. But on the murder charge, they find him hung jury. 11-1 split on the jury.
Thank God for you, you angel.
They didn't say, which side it was, but let's be honest. Yeah. It's one person I'm not sure he did that. I don't know that
we can do this.
I'm not sure he did that part. So, because the other, I could see them seeing a guy on the stand going, he did this all to me, and them going, okay, I believe that guy. He's telling me what he did. But he didn't say, then I saw him murder the guy.
Right.
So that's the thing. It's like they're shaky on that. So it's a hung jury on the murder charge, which is good for now because he's not convicted of murder, but that's also kind of shitty because obviously if it's a hung jury, what can the prosecutor do?
Yeah.
Fucking retry you whenever he feels like it.
And
now it's just a murder charge sitting out there.
And if you get that murder charge, you've also got the aggravator of the armed robbery, which that's death, babe. That's it.
Yes. Well, not then because the death penalty was...
Yeah. Wait, does yours even have it now?
I don't know if they have it now, but back then nobody had it because there was a national stoppage of the death penalty for years. We came to our senses for a minute. So anyway, very rare. It happens. It's fleeting in this country. It goes fast.
We
don't
figure
worry.
It, and then we fucking roll it all back.
We also tried not to get sick for fucking a month.
And then we rolled it back.
We rolled it back.
And now everybody's sick.
It doesn't matter. So... fucking disaster this place is, I swear to Christ.
Unbelievable.
So on the so he split 11-1, so found guilty on robbery, hung jury on the murder. So now they have this, they can, anytime they want, they can retry him for murder.
Yeah.
If at least they found him not guilty, then they can't retry him. Obviously, that's double jeopardy. But if this, now
if
it's
they've
fucked.
got him rocked up on robbery charges, he's going nowhere. We have all the time in the world to figure this out.
Exactly. That's how they look at it. No problem.
Oh, Jesus.
So, yeah, they asked him about that in December of 1975, and this is the assistant prosecutor says, quote, "It's still up to the prosecutor's office to decide whether to try him for murder the second time." And, yeah, they said that the murder and the robbery were related, so there's a good chance of it, basically. On the phone, Scott, though, he does an interview, and he says he insists he's innocent on both charges. He says, quote, how did this just impossible or incredible or how they did this is just impossible or incredible or unbelievable to me. Should be and.
Yeah.
But he said, all they convicted me on was the testimony of two witnesses for the state. One took the Fifth Amendment to selling and using narcotics, and one has a record as long as the Fifth Street Gym. So he's saying, which also fair. If you got some guy with a fucking record a mile long, they can go to him, hey, maybe we make a couple charges disappear. Maybe we look the other way.
Did he say Fifth Street Gym? Is the gym really, really long, or are the people there are fucking criminals?
I think
What's he saying there?
That's a good question.
What the hell is he trying to tell us?
Physical distance or inhabitants?
Right.
Or fucking combined
rap sheets?
Yeah. Combined rap sheets. What are we talking here?
That's a fascinating little statement you just laid out there, Scott.
No shit, man. Jesus Christ. So, yeah, Scott says that he never told detectives about a robbery, and he doesn't know how they connected him with one. So they're saying he took him to the Scott actually took them to the apartment and showed it to them, and he's saying, I didn't do any of that. I don't know what you're talking about. So we have there should be records of this. This is why you record things, and there's video cameras and stuff now. He says that, quote, if I knew that about how they connected him with one, if I knew that, I'd be on the streets right now. There's a deal involved here. Since it involved narcotics, the only way these people, the witnesses, can exonerate themselves from the charges against them is to make a deal with the prosecution. Also very true. One of the he says, quote, one of the newspapers, the Newark Star-Ledger, against the objections of my counsel, made statements in the paper that weren't true. It said defendant confesses to robbery, and people were taking the papers into the courtroom over the warning of the judge. My lawyer objected to the judge. My lawyer objected, and the judge said he would tell the jury to disregard it. But that's like saying you can ask a person to strike this or that from their memory. Right. That's almost impossible.
Right. Unsuck a dick. I dare you.
It's
hard to figure that shit out.
That's a bell you can't unring. It's, it's hard to hear the major piece of evidence and then say disregard that. And it's like, well,
walk in on somebody fucking your mom. I dare you, and see if you can erase that ever.
I don't want to even. I want to erase the fact that you brought it up. That's what I want to erase.
I got up to go to the bathroom when I was
Everybody
8.
Thought of that.
Everything was never the same.
Nothing's been the same since then. It's been going badly since then. So March 1976 is sentencing here, and they ask him what he thinks about it. He gets to make a statement, and he says, quote, nobody knows who killed Mr. Russ. It's a tragic affair, but I didn't do it. With all I've done to rehabilitate myself, it seems you can't get no justice. And the judge says, you, sir, may fuck off, sentenced to 30 to 40 years.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That is steep.
That's steep because of his previous record of robbery. So that's a lot, man.
Oh,
that's
boy.
a fuckload. 30 to 40 years.
Technically, yeah, well, I get it.
It's a lot, man. Yeah.
It's fucked up what he did, too.
If he did it, it's fucked up. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a terrible thing, especially considering he's up. He's good for
I don't know, man. It's all in the fucking game.
Yeah.
He didn't. It's like an Omar situation. Yeah. It's like, it's all underground shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's all underworld shit. If you're a fucking drug dealer, part of that game is you might get robbed by drug dealers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You might get robbed by people. So
you might get robbed by people that don't deal drugs.
That's part of the. They don't. They just want your money. That's part of the fucking game.
Right.
So it's like no one should go to jail for this. This is all like intramural.
Why is he?
If
everyone's Florida.
That's my point. If everyone's in the game, it's all intramural, and he's not in the game, so he shouldn't be in the fucking game. He should be in Florida.
His game is boxing, and he's up for $100,000 tomorrow.
Fuck, man. So May 27th, 1977, he's sent to Rahway State Prison. Finally, that's going to be his final place here. Inmate number 57735. So he gets in, never stops training.
What?
We'll find out.
He didn't give up.
No, one of Dickens, who's one of the guys who's at Rahway, one of his friends, he says that he trained, quote, like a Spartan, and he sure wasn't out nights fooling around. Basically, he would run for an hour in the prison yard each morning, basically do that, and then he said, quote, and let me tell you, it gets boring with nothing to look at but that wall, which makes sense. During the same period, they estimated that he did about 51,000 push-ups, 16,000 sit-ups, and punched the light bag nonstop for 30 minutes at a time, and then followed that up with 10 rounds on the heavy bag.
Jesus.
So he has all the time in the world to train, and all he's doing is training. That's it. He's just training harder than he ever has, because he has nothing else to do, nothing else to distract him with.
Great shape to rot away.
That's the thing. But the prison recently had sanctioned fights to highlight one of its work programs and showcase its progressive rehabilitation system. That's what they're trying to do. There's a superintendent named Robert Hatrack who's trying really hard to, have these people have, people in prison, have these people in prison have a fucking place to go when they're out. You know what I mean? And have something to do. He says, quote, I would say a good 60% of the inmate population have never had a real, what you might call a bona fide job. They've earned money wherever they can, catch can, but to be a professional, they could not call themselves that. We found that once a man feels that he's learned a trade, he's become a mechanic in whatever field or area he wants to, he has a different outlook on life. He also has a lot more respect for himself and carries himself in a way that shows it. Absolutely true. He said, we've got dozens of important rehabilitation programs at Rahway, and boxing is only one of them. I admit that teaching inmates to become professional fighters and cutmen and trainers is unique, but why not? If we can teach them to lay brick or build a house, why not teach them to box? One man takes a college course, another man learns to throw a jab. The results are the same. When they leave here, they take something very important, a way to earn an honest living, a sense of self-respect, and the tools to become a useful citizen. Yeah.
Teach a man to fish, give him a fish.
All that's true.
Yeah.
And that's what we don't fucking do anymore. Some states try. Arizona's one of the worst.
Yes, of course.
It's one of the worst. The prison system here is one of the fucking worst. We have nothing for these people. Nothing. No fucking edge. Dick. Yeah. Unless the inmates run it themselves. That's the only time they have anything, is if some inmate decides that he'll teach a history course or something. Or that's it, though. Other than that, ugats.
And then we discharge him into Bisbee and get him back into society that way.
And I just found out yesterday that fuckhead is running for sheriff again here in 2020.
Oh, he's going to lose.
He's 90 years old. Yeah. He lost a Senate primary. And we don't say who to vote for, who not to vote for on this show.
Not that one.
Joe Arpaio is a unmitigated, unquestioned piece of flaccid dick skin. He can fuck himself. There is no reason to vote for him. No. I'm so happy that since he's been gone in Maricopa County, have you heard anything from the sheriff?
Goddamn silence.
No, you know why? Because they're not being sued for $100 million fucking dollars every 10 minutes for basic shit that you can do just so Arpaio can have a big ego and go out and say how tough he is. Right. Meanwhile, all you're doing is costing us shitloads of money, you fucking old cocksucker.
The last thing
enriching yourself.
The last thing I heard from Penzone was there's a new sheriff in town. The night he won. That's it.
Done. That's all I want to hear.
Sheriff in town.
I don't want to hear your shit. Yeah, I haven't heard lawsuits.
6 years? 8 years? What is it?
4. Fix the shit. It's fucking unreal. But yeah, this fucking idiot, all that shit was his own profit. Yeah. Even the pink underwear. It was like, oh, ha, ha, ha. He only did that so he could then sell pink underwear as souvenirs. Guess who made the profit? Not the state of Arizona. That was his personal thing. All the vending machines in there. His personal shit. He even had a cut of the fucking phone shit in there. Personal. Not the fucking county.
Right.
Who's being sued because of his irresponsibility constantly and fucking hemorrhaging tax money. Not that in his fat fuck pockets.
How do you get that?
Suck a fucking dick, you motherfucker. That's what I hope he does.
That should be illegal.
Oh, it is. That's the point. That's how fucking corrupt it is and shitty here. So anyway, enough of our soapbox here. We will not apologize for saying we hate Joe Arpaio.
He's a terrible man.
Ever. He's a piece of shit. Fuck him.
My
If you like him, it says something about your character. You're an asshole. There's no debate of like, oh, we like it. If you like him, you're a bad person. Don't listen to the show. Don't fucking interact with us. I'll tell you to fuck your mother every time. Fuck you. Piece of shit.
My friend on the radio talked about him, and he went and had a whole detail of officers tail the morning show. The wrong morning show.
Oh my God. So incompetent and fucking corrupt.
That's how
Perfect.
dumb he is.
Incompetent and corrupt. We need to make that a one word, and that's who he is.
We had a fucking detail of deputy that we pay for to go tail.
To do his personal bidding.
Right.
To fuck with people who didn't even.
Nothing to do with it.
Unfucking real. And that is so you could hear a trillion stories like that.
Just like it.
Basically, he thought he was Boss Hogg, and this was fucking Hazard County, and he's going to get them Duke boys.
I'm surprised he didn't petition the mayor or governor to change Maricopa County to Hazard.
Hazard, yeah. I'd like it to be Hazard County. Now,
can we make everybody drive Dodge Chargers?
Yeah.
That would be great.
That would be wonderful. We'll just suck money out of it. We need tanks, more tanks. And that's the other thing, too. People can say, oh, well, these programs cost money in prison. You know what costs more? Yeah. Being sued for $100 million fucking dollars 6 times a year because you can't give people basic civil fucking rights. Maybe that's what you should do. I'm sorry, but it's cheaper for the kind of money. I'd love to see a fucking thing for how much money this county paid out in fucking lawsuits.
And how much they made versus when he was in.
Prisoners could have been living in their own 2-bedroom fucking condos downtown in a high rise for the fucking costs we're paying for people. Are you kidding me? Meanwhile, they don't have fucking food. So this fat fuck can make money?
Right.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ. Okay, I gotta get off of it. I'll talk about it the whole fucking time. I hate him so much. Jimmie. He's the fucking worst.
He's a monster.
Oh, he's the worst person we've produced as a nation. I can't. You name me a worse person.
It's hard.
And I'll fucking tell you 10 things this guy did that's worse. You can't name someone more racist.
Right.
You can't name someone more fucking disgusting, cheap, corrupt, crooked, ugly.
Yeah.
He makes fucking Andrew. Never mind. I'm done. Anyway, so this guy, he started, the Hat Track guy also started the Scared Straight program, which you might know of from TV shows that are still on the air.
From Oprah.
They still make that show. Right. It's still on Hulu, I think, here. But yeah, the Scared Straight program, which is maybe my favorite thing in the world.
It's awesome.
It's pretty amazing to watch like a kid who thinks he's hot shit go up and have a prisoner tell him, I'll fuck you in the mouth. Right. There's something about that. But I'll knock your teeth out first so it'll feel better. There's something about that.
A hardened 25-year-old criminal saying that to a 13-year-old is amazing.
And they're like, oh, wow, I don't want to be here. Oh, I thought it was just, okay.
Right.
I was afraid of the cops. I was never mind in here.
A black Sergeant Slaughter going to yell at me. This is entirely
This
different.
is different. I never heard Sergeant Slaughter. Yeah. Sergeant Slaughter, I don't know if I believe, but he never said he was going to fuck anyone in the mouth either, so I might have believed that. So, yeah.
The added sting of tooth removal.
Yeah, just to make it better. A little easier for you. Oh my God. So yeah, he said that there was a bunch of like shops and classrooms and all this shit that they opened and everything to try to give them a shot outside. Basically for Scott though, he didn't have a lot of sparring partners. That was the problem there. Correction officials borrowed the heavyweight champ of the Trenton State prison and brought him in. You want to fight with him? And Scott broke 3 of his ribs.
Wow.
And fucking sent him back on his way. So he wasn't anywhere near as good as Scott was. So Hat Track said, quote, enough of this. We can't have Scott busting up the prison population. No more inmates, because then they have to pay for the medical care. So they're like, we can't do this. He's just fucking people up.
Breaking bones.
Yeah, he said, we'll bring someone in from the outside. That's how they said they were going to do. To prison. So one of the people that they brought in was Royster, the guy he fought with the headbutts and all that. That guy. Yeah, they brought him in and to spar against Scott. Scott knocked him out and he never came back. So that was that. He was probably mad at him too. Yeah. And then another guy named J.C. Brown, he's a Newark heavyweight. He agreed to work, but only 3 days a week and 3 rounds at a time. He would only go with Scott because Scott was wanting to fight a lot more than that. And this guy was like,
9 rounds a week.
Yeah, I'm not getting punched much more than that, thanks. So, yeah, he wanted to be able to fight more than 4 rounds, Scott, because a real fight would be more than 4 rounds. So he said, quote, it's a mental barrier. It's like a miler trying to break 4 minutes. You get afraid of it, the fear you can't do it. So he's like, what if I get to 4 rounds and I can't go anymore because all I've been doing is 4 rounds? So he really wants to be able to fight. basically. The Miami News here paper, John Crittenden, he wrote a thing that said, he wrote, quote, he had a typewriter and a tape recorder and a list of names of people who knew him before he went to prison. Newspaper reporters, television announcers, gymnasium acquaintances, and friends. He wrote letters. Basically, he may collect phone calls to every promoter, kept doing all this shit to try to get interest in him from prison. He says, quote, they told me you're not going anywhere, so I'm not taking you on. Because he said he got a hold of Don King, Bob Arum, and they both told him, you're not going to get it. You're not getting out, dude.
There's no money to be made.
Yeah, I can't. What am I going to do with you? So one promoter from Jersey actually said he fell in love with the whole narrative, and he took a chance on him. This was Murad R. Muhammad, who was a member of Ali's entourage at one point, too. Okay. He agreed to promote fights from Rahway Prison. He said, let's see if they'll let us do that. So this Muhammad guy, he recently transitioned from the fast food business into boxing, which is an odd transition, and worked for Bob Arum and Don King, and then started his own promotional company there. So that's how that works. And he actually somehow pulls together a fucking fight in Rahway State Prison.
Unreal.
May 24th, 1978, Rahway State Prison. It's Scott versus Diego Joe Roberson, who's a 2-6-1 fighter coming in, and Scott knocks him out in the second round. So he's 11-0-1, but more than that, the fight doesn't matter. They just had a fucking televised fight in prison.
In a prison.
That's insanity. So it happened. So
I can't believe Joe Arpaio didn't figure that out to make money too.
But yeah, he wouldn't give any of the prisoners any of it. Or yeah, that's what am I going to fight for you? He'd figure out a way for him to make the money personally. Fucking scumbag. Utter scumbag. Oh, but yeah, don't invest child fucking sex charges either. Let's not do that because we have to round up Mexicans. That's much more important.
Lab work is expensive.
Yeah, they found out how 10 years worth of cases he wasn't fucking even investigating child sexual abuse charges. Meanwhile, doing giant roundups of Mexicans that he could put on television and go, see, told you I hate Mexicans. Fucking asshole.
We knew.
We got it based on all of your actions.
Right.
So he wins the fight. You know what Scott got paid for that fight?
$0.
A prison steak dinner.
Oh, God.
Prison steak.
Oh, Jesus.
That can't be good.
That's a flank steak, right?
I don't even know if they're getting flank. That's like odds and ends.
The burn ends, and they mush it together and call it a steak.
Tape it up. Yeah. Why is there Scotch tape in here? Don't worry about it.
This tape has ropes in it. Is this,
what the fuck?
Is this duct tape?
Is this? Oh, my God. There's strings coming out. Wow, it's put together, though. So, yeah, he got a steak for that. So then this Muhammad scheduled his next fight against a guy named Fred Brown. This time, Scott could earn $600 for a win.
Okay.
So the first time he had to do it for free just to show we were doing a fight in prison.
Right.
Basically, like, we're all doing this on spec kind of a thing. The second time, he fights September 9th, 1978, Rahway Prison versus Fred Brown, who's 12-2 coming in, but he's 18-39-2 for his career. Yeesh. So, yeah, he went 6-37 after this fight.
Lord.
It's not good. This is a TKO win for Scott. It brings him to 12-0-1. Not bad. Muhammad then reached out to the, at the time, number 1 ranked light heavyweight in the world, Eddie the Flame Gregory. Okay, now Gregory was a big fighter, and he was in line to be the champ here. They offered him $15,000 to face Scott in prison here, and so that's how it goes. $15,000 they offer Gregory. So this is a big deal, and because he fought a couple bums before this, but this guy's like in line for the title. Yeah. So this is a huge deal, and it's a big deal, and HBO signs on to televise the fight.
Wow.
This is in the early days of HBO when they broadcast. HBO made its name by broadcasting the Thrilla in Manila. I actually just read a book about this like a week ago.
That's how they became HBO Boxing, or HBO Sports.
HBO Sports, that was one of their first things. They also used to broadcast WWF Wrestling from Madison Square Garden because HBO is a New York thing.
Got it.
But they also, that was their first big thing. They had set the satellite up, and everybody else was not showing this fight live from Manila. They were all like, they'd come back with fly home with videotapes to show the highlights.
Sure.
They broadcast it live to the world. This was like the first pay-per-view. Okay. So it was a huge deal. That's what made cable explode.
Yeah.
Because people went, holy shit, they can do that. And people ordered fucking cable when they heard about that.
Thank you, Muhammad Ali.
I want to watch a fucking fight that's not on the wide world of sports or whatever.
And clever, too. They put box in the fucking name of the whole thing.
Well, it was home box office. But and it ended up just being a good coincidence, and and they're still doing it. So this is a big deal. They sign on to televise the fight. Scott's purse for the fight's $2,500, but is being seen on national, on HBO.
He doesn't have rent.
No, that's the other thing, and it's a big deal because it's everywhere that HBO is going to broadcast a fight from prison. It's a very with a contender.
That's sick.
A 12 round.
Right.
They called it basically kind of a tune up for Gregory because he's a contender here. Right. So October 12th, 78. This is before the fight. He's in there. Scott is in an office in the prison.
Oh no.
Basically waiting. He's got a bunch of his friends around him who are inmates. And he says, quote, "We've only got 4 rounds. 4 rounds or else we're in a lot of trouble," as he was saying. Like he's told everybody that he can only fight 4 rounds, basically. Now, Eddie Gregory's in the other room. He was just happy. Basically, he had a $50,000 title fight lined up with Mike Rossman, who's the new champion. Mm-hmm. This is a tune-up. He's getting $15,000 and just beat some prisoner up. Gregory says, quote, "They say Scott is tough, but how tough can he be?"
Oh, boy.
So he fought a couple of stiffs inside the walls and he knocked them out. He hasn't had a real pro fight in almost 4 years, and now he wants to fight a top contender? He's got to be crazy. He's been in here too long. It happens when you stay in these places too long. I'll carry him for 11 rounds and knock him out in the 12th. It'll be a good workout.
Oh boy.
So this guy is confident as fuck here. Scott got some final advice from Ali's former physician Pacheco there. He says, quote, "Don't try to think out there." This is the advice he gives him. "Don't try to think out there. Fight by instincts. You are an animal caged up in here and you want to get out. Go out and fight like an animal, snarl like an animal, climb all over him like an animal."
Jesus.
Can you stop calling me an animal, please? Right. I'm a human being.
Right.
I'm a fucking man.
Person too.
Can you not call me? I get what he's trying to say. You're a caged animal. You want to get. Before a fight, doesn't matter what you're saying. Whatever gets someone jacked, they'll come up and say, "Hit me in the fucking face." Right. They want to be whatever gets them to the point where they want to kill is fine.
I'm gonna finger fuck your sister.
Yeah,
whatever makes them crazy.
Fuck yeah. So Pacheco later said it was hot in that little room, but when I looked into Scott's eyes, I suddenly felt cold. I felt sorry for Gregory.
Oh.
So Scott's pissed, basically. Larry Merchant, who was the longtime boxing announcer forever, he was one of the guys calling this fight. He said, quote, "James Scott is a very, very unusual man, and so is the boxing program here at Rahway. Last time we came here to take an inside look at both phenomenon, a very inside look. Stone walls do a prison make here, and inside them dwells a community of outcasts." He's trying to get all fancy there.
Take it easy.
Yeah. He says, quote, or Scott said this. I'm sorry, Merchant said this. He says, Gregory, I'm sorry, Jesus Christ, who the fuck said this? I am losing my mind. Fucking Scott says this. "Gregory is just an opportunity to expose the public that there is somebody lurking behind the shadows waiting for his opportunity. I think all about this all day long, 24 hours a day. I eat, sleep, and drink this. He's got his hours at the gym, girls. He's got to duck all that, all this publicity on him. Psychologically, I can't see him being ready. And if he is ready, I'm ready. We're going to fight. This guy's got to kill me to win." Mm-hmm. That's what Scott says.
That very first part sounded like something a robber would say.
Yeah. No shit. So the fight night, there's 450 people buying tickets to see this, to go to prison from the outside. This is the same auditorium, I think it was 7 years earlier, where there was a big riot and prisoners took a bunch of hostages, including the warden.
Awesome.
In the same exact place. So the entire inmate population is watching on 3 large screens set up in the drill hall is what they call it there. Right. They have Larry Merchant, Don Dunphy, and Sugar Ray Leonard.
What?
On the commentary. Sugar Ray is fresh from the Olympics. He's not even a fucking pro yet. He just started being a pro. Yeah. He just came from the Olympics, but he's very famous at that point. So this is the first pro fight ever televised from prison. Interesting shit.
It's the coolest.
Yeah. So Merchant says to the other guy, "Don, you've seen a few million fights in your time. Have you ever even heard of a situation like this?" And he says, "Not really, Larry. I haven't. If you were to ask me if Scott had much of a chance, I'd have to say off the cuff, I don't think so. I just can't conceive of an inmate in prison defeating the number 1 light heavyweight contender. However, the important thing here is that Scott thinks he can do it." True. Okay. Gregory is he's got his robe on there, surrounded by fucking corrections officers as he's
people with shotguns.
Yeah, literally being waiting to go out there. But he said he's comfortable. He says, quote, this is Gregory, quote, "This is like a homecoming for me." He said, "Everybody knows I done a little time myself. No problem. Just going to be me and James Scott. I'm not fighting the whole prison system. I'm just fighting James Scott." Then they said, "What kinds of things did you do? What kind of time did you do for what?" Gregory smiled and said, quote, "Small things. Burglary, harassment. I beat up 4 cops. Small things like that." That's a fucking great answer. So the fight, this is against Eddie Lee Gregory, known as the Flame, and later on will be known as Eddie Mustafa Muhammad when he changes his name. He comes into this fight 29-3-1. He's a real no shit guy. Yeah. Finishes his career 58-1.
Wow.
It's a bad motherfucker. So Pacheco, the doctor, he said, quote, "When the opening bell sounded, Scott roared, literally roared. It startled Gregory." He told him, "Go out there like an animal," and he did. He said it startled Gregory. He looked at him like, oh shit. After that, James was relentless. I'd never seen him like that. Those 3 years away from boxing, all that held back emotion, he let it ride that night. By the 4th round, Don Dunphy, one of the commentators, said, quote, "Off of what I've seen so far, I have to wonder if Eddie Gregory took this fight seriously. Gregory's no longer smiling. He's run into a buzzsaw." So it changed, and then the drill hall, the inmates chanted for round after round. They chanted, "Kill the cocksucker." Over and over for the whole rounds, every round.
I'll bet I could have guessed with like 5 guesses what their chant was.
Yeah. So they're rooting for him.
Yeah.
Let's just say.
I would have said, "Kill that motherfucker."
Kill the cocksucker.
Close enough.
It was probably, they had to really figure it out.
Right.
They had like the heads of the blacks, the heads of the whites, the heads of like the Latino mobs all together. Like, what are we going to say here, guys? They had to all work it out, all the gangs.
Black guys are like, "Call him a Peckerwood."
We're going with cocksucker.
He's not white.
We're going with cocksucker, everybody. It has no racial undertones. It's slightly, offensive to a homosexual. Right. And so it's a lot. It really works for us in prison is what we're getting
We'll
at.
try to wear down his psyche, calling him a homosexual.
You know how that works.
For the next 12 rounds.
Just over and over again. So apparently Scott from the start was just super aggressive. Both hands fucking him up, doing the whole deal. In the 4th round, a big lump came up under Gregory's eye, which is bad. And that's when fighters start to panic because they can't control that. Scott said, quote, "I threw everything I had at him, but he's too smart. I knew then I was going to have to go the full 12. And I thought, oh no, you better pace yourself." Because a good fighter like that, even if you can swarm them, they know how to hold on. They can hang on. They're smart. They know how to play defense. They know how to get away from you. Right. They know how to waste time. It's a thing. They know how to get not knocked out.
I'm riveted.
So this goes the full 12 here. At the end, the corner was screaming for him to go to a knockout, but Gregory held on in the 12th round. Scott said, quote, "From the 3rd round on, he wasn't trying to win the fight. He was just trying not to get hurt." He ends up winning a unanimous decision against him.
James Scott.
That's fucking crazy. Even the referee was the only guy when talked about it afterwards. He's the only one who saw it even closer. Really? He gave it to Scott 6-4 with 2 rounds even. But Harold Letterman, he's still doing that shit on HBO, he had it judged 9 rounds to Scott, 2 to Gregory, 1 draw.
Not even close.
Not even close. Fucking blowout, basically.
Unbelievable.
Blowout. The other judge called it 9-3. So same thing. Now he won 9 fucking rounds, basically. And Scott said he wants a title fight. He's saying to the interviewing he wants a title fight with Rossman. He said, quote, "It won't go 4 rounds. Gonna fuck Rossman up.
Bring him to the prison.
Bring him to my fucking cell.
I can't go to him. Bring him to me.
Bring him to me." Afterwards, Larry Merchant said, quote, "You've been dreaming of this for years, working toward it, a lonely vigil, a lonely journey. What are your real feelings inside now?" He said, "Well," and he said he paused and put his head back and said, quote, "I hope Mr. Hattrack will let me go home now." He just wants out of prison.
What, you think he earned freedom?
He's like, maybe I'll go home now. That's all I want. Now, Harold Letterman about that fight said, quote, "On that day," he was one of the judges, he said, "On that day, I thought James Scott was the greatest light heavyweight I ever saw in my life. That's how great he was. On that one day when he beat Gregory, he was the best light heavyweight I ever saw. I never saw a performance like that anywhere. I don't think Bob Foster was as good as that. I don't think Archie Moore was as good as that." Archie Moore's a fucking legend. "He was prepared like I've never seen in my life. What happened just ruined the career of a possibly great athlete. athlete. There's no doubt that he was his own worst enemy. He probably ruined his own life. He has nobody to blame but himself. It's a strange story.
Or they want him to go home and end it all?
Right?
Gregory?
Poor Gregory. Well, the rest of it was about Scott, I think.
Oh.
It's a strange story. Probably ruined his own life. Yeah, that has to be. On the way out of the prison, Rossman, the champ, who was there to scout, Rossman's father was there, Jimmie Biano, his name is. He was there to scout for his son, for who's going to win this fight. He said, quote, "It's going to take an awful lot of money before I'll let my son in the same ring with that monster."
Wow.
So he literally said, he's going to maul my kid, so he's better have to pay for it, basically.
How about that?
Yeah, Scott says, quote, "The rise of a champion from prison house to lightweight, heavyweight championship of the world. Has it ever been done before? No. I'll die if I don't get that title shot. I'm pregnant. I've got to deliver this child." He's pregnant, damn it. He's got to deliver.
He's more Tracy Morgan than Tracy
He
Morgan.
is. He's fucking great. He is Tracy Jordan.
Yeah.
He's like 30 Rock Tracy Morgan.
He's wild.
So November of 1978, the WBA comes out with their rankings, and Scott is ranked number 8 in the world in the light heavyweight division.
And number 1 in prison.
Number 1 in all of prison ever anywhere. So March 10th, 1979, in Rahway, fights a guy named Richie Cates, who's 35-4 coming in.
It's a good fighter.
It's a badass man, but Scott knocks him out. TKO win, 14-0-1. I mean, he's, fucking trying. It's at this point that he starts trying to petition to get out of jail.
Yeah.
He starts saying that he's got a petition saying that he's an exceptional case, basically, and that was on CBS, that fight was, National Broadcast Television. And so he thinks he might have a chance. The Hat-Rack guy is going to support him.
Okay.
Problem is, a month later, Hat-Rack gets fired as superintendent and reassigned to a desk job.
Oh no!
They don't like what he's doing. Nothing. Listen to this. This is County Corrections Commissioner William Falver said Hat-Rack was, quote, too interested in the publicity surrounding his Scared Straight program and criticized his management of style, saying, quote, "You have to run it like a prison, not Hollywood."
Yeah.
So he's saying it's not bad enough.
Right.
It's not shitty enough. People are coming out. They're like, they want to have jobs. They have confidence. We really need them to come out broken people.
We need you to demoralize
who
people.
Come right back in when they're done, because we have a business for running here. Jesus Christ. So
this shit of correcting children before they do anything wrong, that does nothing for us in the future. You're a real asshole.
I picture him taking him aside and going, listen. I see what you're doing, but if they go out and they don't come back in, what do we do?
Right.
Where are our jobs?
It's essentially a shift manager at McDonald's telling people how great Weight Watchers is.
The shittier your prison is, the more job security you have, because the more you're assuring that people are going to get sent right back to you, and you'll always have a job fucking watching over them.
Just hawk the fillet of fish and shut up.
Shut the fuck up. So, then he learned of his replacement, of who Hat-Rack was his replacement was, and shit gets worse, basically. Apparently, when Scott was in Trenton State Prison a while back, a guard brought assault charges against him for striking another inmate with a pipe, and Scott was sent to the hole. This guard, back then, this was in the 60s, Sidney Hicks, is now worked his way all the way up to, he's promoted to the Rahway superintendent.
Remember me, motherfucker?
So he hates Scott.
Yeah.
He ain't helping him at all. There's no more talk of getting any help with the judge to call it an exceptional case. None of that shit. Scott says, quote, "They locked me up. I came to prison. I just about punched my way out of prison, but then they got me going every which way. This administration says I'm not an exceptional individual, and the only way they can grant me full minimum is if I was an exceptional case. If I'm not an exceptional case, I don't know who is. If a guy can pick himself up in a place like this, the mud of civilization, if a guy is able to rise above that, then that should be what they're trying to encourage every inmate to do." Yeah. Fucking duh. Yeah, I would say that's probably good for everybody. And it's all over the place too. This story's everywhere. I found June 24th, 1979. I found the Rochester, New York TV listings from the Democrat and Chronicle, and he is on Channel 13 PM magazine. James Scott, boxer behind bars. This is sandwiched in between two other stories. Yeah. One is a piano playing duck.
Is that the lead in?
It's PM Magazine, Piano Playing Duck, James Scott, boxer behind bars, and then benefits of buckwheat. Those are the stories that they say.
The actual
thing, not Eddie
the
Murphy
guy.
The
little guy from the Little Rascals.
Not the Little Rascals buckwheat, no. So
he's literally got a skiing squirrel lead in. That is ridiculous.
Tough competition at 7 o'clock in Rochester, though. On Channel 8, you got Crosswits. I don't know what that is. Channel 10, you got Tic-Tac-Doe.
Oh,
so, that game show. Channel 21, New York PM, which is the replay of that last one, I think. Channel 2, you got The Dating Game.
Oh.
Channel 3, Mary Tyler Moore Show. Channel 5, Newlywed Game.
Nobody
they should put
saw
that
this
after
shit.
The Dating Game.
Yeah, they should.
And then Channel 9, The Odd Couple. How are you going to compete with all that? I'll watch any of those things, really, probably.
Nobody watched this poor fuck.
It's crazy. That newspaper was weird to see, but what was even weirder was the sales, Jimmy. Oh, the sales. Let's see what we got here. If you happen to be in Rochester, New York on June 24th, 1979, you need to stop on by Ream something for a furnace cleaning. We power vac furnace burner, heat exchanger, warm and cold air pipes, register smoke pipe and chimney, check and adjust burner and controls, $15.95, regularly $30.
That's a great deal.
That's a deal.
Peace of mind.
Also, best beef on the block.
Oh.
USDA Prime, top government grade, Meat City is the name of the place. And a phone number.
Yuck.
Meat City.
I tell you what cut. It's just, we got a lot.
Meat City. That's what cut we got. And then finally, Mark Kitchens get down to they're a custom Formica fabricator, which in the 70s was a hot business.
Custom? All of it.
Formica. Jesus. Kitchen drawer and drawer fronts from $395.
Jeez.
Unbelievable
What a
deals.
deal.
But not as big of a deal as color TV picture tubes with free installation. This is just the tube inside an old TV.
Oh.
$99.95, any size.
In case your TV breaks.
In case it
They're
breaks.
all the same price?
All the same price, any size. And then Ridge Electronics, you can go over and get JFD antennas and Alliance rotors. Some big antenna for $109. So you got that. And then, what is that? Yeah, oh my God, the JFD antenna and Alliance rotors. Yeah. This is literally a van with a satellite, with a fucking giant antenna off the back of it.
What?
It's like to hook to make your van, like if you park it, you can then like get.
Broadcast a signal?
Bro, look at this shit. That's the thing. Look at the picture. It's coming out of the ass end of a van for $109.
$109. You can outfit your fucking car.
OCB.
Oh,
fucking CBs.
Radios.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Your choice, AM, FM cassette, or 8-track stereo for your car, $69.95.
Deal.
So there's that. July 1st, 1979, at Rahway, he fights Bunny Johnson. 52-11-1 coming in.
Yeah.
No joke.
She sounds tough.
She's a tough one. This is stopped in the 7th round as he wins.
Oh.
Scott. 15-0-1. Not bad.
The guy's still undefeated. I mean, still undefeated.
Yeah, no one's ever beat him. He says, quote, I'm paying to be in jail now. I've made a little money from the TV fight. I've been able to hire an attorney. I took my parents off federal assistance. And that's good. And 10% of what I win goes to an organization which benefits victims of violent crimes. I pay $2,000 for my living quarters here per year. I think it's for training and shit, all that stuff, because food eats different, everything's different. I pay $106 a month to eat. That's for his food there. Okay. It's only $85 if I don't eat eggs. I'm supposed to be in here for rehabilitation, right? Boxing is the only thing that I can do, that can do for me in this place. Look around you. There's nothing else here. Nothing but grief. There's the TV. The marijuana smoke floats around with the pills and the homos.
What? That sounded like a DMX lyric.
That, yes. Quote, the marijuana floats around with the pills and the homos. So,
I swear to God, DMX has said that.
With the pills and the hobos. Yeah, he said that shit probably. Yeah, I don't know.
That is amazing.
That just caught me off guard. I haven't seen that written like that in a while.
$20 a month for eggs? What is a dollar a dozen? That's a shitload of eggs.
Yeah, he's training. He's probably eating. A dozen a day.
20,
protein.
20 a month.
That's the only place you can get protein. Probably more than meat. I would think.
That is so many eggs.
He said the law libraries and reading rooms aren't crowded anymore. Must be the homos.
They're in there with they want to smoke in the pills.
So August 26, 79, from Rahway, he fights Ennio Cometti, who looks like an Italian Burt Reynolds, basically.
No.
Kind of like Luigi, basically. He's got a mustache. It's Ennio Acamati.
Yeah.
He is 30 wins, 4 losses, 3 draws coming in. Problem is his career, he's 30 wins, 9 losses, 3 draws.
Yeah.
So this fight stopped in the 5th.
Yeah.
James wins 16-0-1. WBA lists him as the number 2 contender at this point in the fucking world here.
Unreal.
It's at the same point light heavyweight champ Victor Galindez is stripped of his title for pulling out of an ABC televised event. There was another guy, Yaqui Lopez, who's the number 1 contender, and basically the Muhammad guy, his promoter, Scott's promoter, already had a fight set up between Scott and Lopez to be on NBC, and but Scott's promoter said, "Hey, can we change the fight to a 15-round championship fight if this guy's going to get the belt?" And that's when things get a little
dicey.
Little dicey, yeah. He wants a title shot, and that's when the WBA goes, "Do we want a champion in prison?"
Yes, you do.
Well, they all meet in September of 1979, and basically they say for the first time, they bring up his criminal record. Suddenly they say the notion, this is what the WBA says, the notion of a jailhouse fighter, at least this one, sets a bad example for the sport, and fighting in prison puts his opponents at a disemvantage, which that's sort of true.
Yeah, but
it's always
do you guys
a home
like
crowd.
money or not?
That's the thing. They held a vote of whether to let him keep his earned title, his earned rating, and they vote 60-1 to strip him of his rating and his contendership for the title.
What
60-1.
the fuck?
WBA was very happy, and then they reinstated the other guy as champion too at the same time. In protest, Scott retired. He said, "Fine, fuck you guys, then I retire." That's that.
Oh, no.
He told the New York Times, "The WBA stripped me of my ranking and will not let me fight for the championship as long as I'm in prison. So as long as I'm here, I won't fight. The week before last, they denied me bail. Last week, they took my rating away. I worked so hard for it, and white folks just took it from me, just took it away from me over a conversation. They waited for over a conversation. They waited for me to win a lot of fights and then just took my rating away. The black people all over the country don't get justice. If the WBA wanted me not to fight, they should have never rated me."
Wow. Yeah.
It's pretty fucked up what they did. That's fucked up. They loved the publicity, and then they got to it. They're like, "Ooh, we don't really want to have him in jail."
Yeah. He's great for boxing as long as we don't have to fucking co-sign on him.
Plus, the champ has a little more control also. So they don't want some prisoner controlling. So it's shitty, man.
That's fucked up.
So, but he decides he is going to fight again, though. He does decide to fight again. October 26, 1979, he's got to fight the next day, and he's pissed off. Now he's mad at Murad Muhammad, his promoter, and he says that he's, quote, "no good."
Okay.
October 27, 79, James Brown is in the crowd.
Really?
James Brown is there at the prison. He is seated some distance from the ring. They announced him, and he stood up and acknowledged the cheers, and the announcer called for him, "Why don't you come down and sing the national anthem?" So he said, no, I'm good. And they said, "No, you have to. Come on to everyone." And the crowd's going crazy.
Oh, my God.
James.
Oh, my God.
So now he's got to go sing the national anthem.
This poor bastard.
So he's got to go up there. Okay, fine. He waves. He gets up there. He's standing there, and gets up near the ring.
He doesn't know the words.
And this is the reporter. He said, he looked at him. He said, "Hey, Godfather." And he said that James Brown looked at him and rolled his eyes and snorted and let out a low moan like the Addams Family lurch. Once he began to sing, it was obvious why. He didn't know the words.
James!
He faked his way through it.
Hell yeah.
What a purist might consider one of the worst renditions of the anthem you'd ever want to hear. In his defense, he didn't know he was supposed to sing it to learn it. He would have practiced probably if he knew he had to sing the fucking thing, I imagine. Which is amazing.
Pretty amazing.
The fact that he even went down and gave it a shot. What was he thinking on the way down there? I hope I learn all the words by the time I get to that microphone.
I've got 35 steps to figure this shit out.
Okay, now I've heard it before.
Right.
Every damn sporting event they play, I've heard it. If I could just get from the back of my brain.
I just need that first word. What is it?
If I can.
And the rocket. Nope, that ain't it.
Some shit in Home of the Braves. I know the Braves is home and shit. So that I got.
And then he was so frustrated he beat the shit out of his wife on the way
and ran
home.
3 states away. So Scott's fighting Jerry Celestine, who's 17-4-1. It's a unanimous decision win for Scott. He's 17-0-1. December 1st, 79, again in Rahway, he fights Yaqui Lopez, who's known as the Indian. He was the guy who was supposed to fight before for the title. He's 47-8 coming in. This guy will finish his career 61-15. It's a lot of fights, man. Unanimous decision win for Scott again. So that's the guy who they were giving the belt to. He just beat him. 18-1 or 18-0-1. Sorry. May 25th, 1980, in Rahway, he fights Jerry the Bull Martin. Jerry had trained in Joe Frazier's gym in the 70s. He was a Philly guy and had trained there. He's 18-1 coming in.
Wow.
Pretty good fighter. This fight goes the distance, all 12 rounds, and it's a unanimous decision loss for James here. So not wonderful. He's not thrilled about that. 18-1-1 he is. July 13th, 1980, he asked the judge to basically drop the pending murder charge because the prosecutor has brought that murder charge back up and say they're going to charge him now and try him again 5 years later. So the judge here, he's just put a continuance for later on. He says, quote, I'd been sent to Rahway for a robbery charge, and 3 years later when I was starting boxing, they reopened my murder trial. The judge said I was to say nothing in the courtroom in my defense. The television rights brought me $104,000, which I never received a dime of. They said it all went to my public defender. Wow, they just robbed his ass, the state. He says, the Bob Arams, Murid Mohammeds, and Don Kings are not liars. They just don't tell the truth. It's such an injustice how I can be trusted to walk to this gym each night and get a ride back and not be set free.
That was very impressive.
That was wild.
They don't lie. They just don't tell the truth. Well, what the fuck is a liar?
They're just bad at truth stuff. So, Jesus Christ. So August 10th, 1980, press asks him, basically there's two fighters, Matthew Saad Muhammad and Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, who's Eddie Gregory. He's changed his name. They won't fight each other because they're both Muslims. And they ask Scott about that, how he feels. He says, quote, I'll fight a Mau Mau, a Klansman, anything. Religion has no place in boxing. He don't give a fuck.
A Mau Mau.
A Mau Mau, a Klansman, anything. He's uncle. You put a motherfucker in front of me, I'll hit him. I don't care.
Put gloves on him. Let's go.
Let's go. Get him in the ring. So the court comes up. His murder trial comes up. They're charging him with first-degree murder. He does not testify. It's a jury of 7 men and 5 women. According to testimony, Scott asked Russ to lead him to the drug dealer. Like I said, we know the testimony here. Apparently, this new testimony is when Scott returned to the car, he shot Russ to conceal the robbery, they said, and then they drove a little bit with him and then pushed him out here. Now, his lawyer tried to attack the credibility of state's witnesses and urged the jurors not to be stampeded into accepting the case just because this guy's already in jail, which makes sense. So the jury took 4 hours to deliberate a murder charge and found him guilty of murder. His sentencing comes around. The judge says, you, sir, may continue to fuck off.
Life.
30 to 40 years to run concurrent with his... No, concurrent.
Oh, that's great.
With his so it's nothing.
Right.
With his original 30 to 40 years.
It's nothing at all.
So it's
He's
no
just a
added
convicted
time.
Murderer.
Now it's harder at parole when they go, so you're a murderer. It's easy to go, yeah, I robbed a guy. Then, well, yeah, I fucking killed a guy. So, yeah, now 30 to 40. But the thing is, he made a lot of money and he does a lot of things. So he's got certain advantages at the prison. And because he's boxing and doing all this shit, they say they're going to give him a different cell, basically one that he can work out a little bit in. Because otherwise they have to take him. They have to bring him to this gym, bring him back, take him for the meal. They have to do, it's a lot of stuff. So they say, let's just make it so he can even have some food in his room. So we don't have to do all this shit. He just needs a total redo. And who do they get to do that? They call in Dexter Manley, interior decorator from New York City. And he says... How is it you've come to arrive here? Seriously. Oh my God. This place is fucking gross. It's gross. I'm looking around. I went, there's bugs. Everyone's oh, mean. And they're oh, you this and you that. And they're I'm going to hit you. And it's just relax. What are we doing?
It's a lot of wet concrete.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
But it's you're here. Like, you know what I mean? We're all here. Let's treat it like it's, you know, like we're all on some sort of like, maybe like a Bahamas, like Club Med type thing. You know what I mean? I'm thinking of that in this room. But what have you done? Seriously, you go out, you're 13, you don't go to school. That's fine. You're 13. I get it. I don't want to go to school either. I get it. It's so annoying there, the teachers and everything. I understand. It's okay. But they put you in jail. Yeah. You get out, you're robbing people.
All right.
My God. You get in here. You sir. You're white trash. I'm sorry. You're in and out, and your family's not that great. It's trashy. It's white trash is what it is, really. I just see there's just engines hanging from trees and shit buckets everywhere. Right. It's just disgusting in your brain, isn't it, sir? So I'm sorry, but what is that? Oh, poof! And he sees another prisoner who he said he found interesting, and he disappears in a poof of glitter and purple boa.
Right.
He's gone, and James is very confused. Very confused,
sure.
As you might fucking know. So March 14th, 1981, he's in court trying to get let out to fight on the road to satisfy people because they said they don't want people to fight in prison. It's a disadvantage to the other fighters. So he said, let me out to fight then and then bring me back. So a judge told him on Tuesday that he cannot take his prize fighting career on the road until he qualifies for work release status.
Right. Because you're a murderer.
Because you're you just got convicted of murder like a year ago. They're not going to let you out anywhere. Even if I don't think he did it, but either way, he's convicted of it, so they're probably not going to let you out. He asked the judge, he said, quote, if prisoners don't have anything to look forward to, then rehabilitation is a myth. And the judge said, yeah, you get it now, and fucking moved him along. You get how shitty the system is. Yeah. Doesn't work at all, right? Perfect. We're going to continue to do it forever. So, he said that he's going to have to, his next step should be to secure a minimum security status at a hearing. He can do that. Then he can move toward work release, basically. He said, quote, you win some, you lose some. That was then they took him away to prison.
It's a hell of a thing to say for somebody that was possibly wrongfully convicted.
Yeah, that's the thing. And the new prison superintendent, Peter Fenton, said he would consider putting up a tent for boxing outside prison walls if Scott received minimum custody status. But it's still at the prison, which is what the WBA doesn't want. Basically, a minimum custody inmate under the law may reside outside the prison wall or in a work camp at one of several trailers near the prison. So that to get out of the actual wall, he'd have to do that. So the lawyer for the Department of Corrections said the regulations apply equally to everybody. There's no invidious discrimination. Jesus. I'm not looking at Scott as an individual, but as one of 1,300 inmates. Everybody in the world is not a fight enthusiast, but anybody could have a son or daughter in prison. Okay, fair enough. He says that, obviously the murder conviction's not fucking helping him, but he did say the concurrent sentence helps him out a lot. He said that the judge, quote, he was looking for a way to give me a break, but the law is clear. If he wanted to jam me, he could have given me a consecutive life term, which is fucking true. The guy did do that here because, I don't know. He says, quote, time is of the essence now. I don't see how they could wait until I'm too old to do anything but pursue a life of crime. When I get out, when I'm 40, what the fuck do you think I'm going to do?
40?
50 if I can't fight. Where do you think I'm going? So obviously this is getting bad here. By the way, this is around the same time that Norman Mailer, the writer, championed a prison author named Jack Abbott. Yeah. He wrote The Belly of the Beast. Do you know that book? No. It's a famous book about prison written by a prisoner, and he's such a good writer that Norman Mailer, who's a very big American writer, basically petitioned to get him out of jail. He's so talented. He's this guy. You got to let him out. So he actually got out of jail for it. Wow. This Abbott guy. But the problem is, this was in 1981, so it's right there. 6 weeks after being released, and the same day his memoirs came out, In the Belly of the Beast, and received a favorable review in the New York Times. This guy got in an argument with a waiter over using a bathroom and stabbed him to death.
Unbelievable.
So
get out of here.
That's what it was.
Real?
That's real.
What the
guy,
fuck?
He's all rehabilitated. Everything's great. 6 weeks, stabs a waiter to death over an argument. So,
the bathroom.
Over the bathroom. Not even over the bill.
Right. Not even an argument.
Not even over money.
Wow.
Crazy shit. So August 10th, 81, still fighting in Rahway. He fights David Lee Royster, who's the guy with the headbutt there. Yeah. Round 7 TKO win, 19-1-1. September 5th, 1981 in Rahway, he fights the Camden buzzsaw Dwight Braxton, who turns into Dwight Muhammad Kawhi, who's a really good fucking fighter when he gets out of... This is when he's in prison before he's a pro.
Oh, really?
So he was kind of... Scott kind of was this guy's mentor at boxing in the prison here. This guy's 14-1-1 coming in. He'll end up 41-11-1 and having a really good career. This goes the distance, but Scott was losing the whole fight.
Really?
Dwight dominated him the whole fight. He was just a younger guy. He's like a younger version of him, basically. Dominated him the whole fight. It's a unanimous decision loss. So 19-2-1 there, and it gets worse for him. November 1st, 1981, the FBI, they find out, failed to tell federal prosecutors about information linking James Scott to an alleged bank robbery ring. It was disclosed in U.S. District Court that day. Assistant U.S. Attorney Terrence Flynn conducted a grand jury probe that led to a conspiracy racketeering indictment against 17 members of the New World of Islam sect accused of robbing banks to raise money for their religion. And he said he never knew about the information because a page was missing from the FBI report that was given to him.
And it had his name on it.
It had James Scott's whole involvement in a bank robbery ring.
Took that out of there.
So it was missing. We don't know.
That's impressive.
One page missing from a report, and that's the report.
Happened to be the one that benefits him.
So much shit. Well, it hurts him. Or it benefits him. Yeah, it wasn't in the probe. So it's so much shady shit going on here.
Wow.
Because he does convert to Islam. At some point, he takes on the name Rajan Muhammad, but he doesn't really use it ever.
Okay.
It's never used publicly. He always says he's James Scott. So it's very weird. 1982, his younger brother Evan is boxing is amateur boxing, starting in 1982. James's younger brother Evan. I don't know how much younger.
Yeah.
Because 82. Christ. 1984. He is transferred, Scott is, from Rahway to Trenton State Prison and then later to Southwood State Prison. Basically, reporters kind of forgot about him after. Once he retired from boxing, they just left him alone. Fucking forgot about him. That was that. He didn't give a lot of interviews after that. August 7th, 1985 is the debut pro fight for his brother Evan.
Yeah.
And he wins by KO versus a guy named Ricky Simmons, who is a career 0-2 fighter. But he won't have another pro fight until 1991.
That is 6 years.
He'll wait 6 years. I don't know if he ends up in prison or what the deal is there, but he'll lose by TKO, and that'll be the end of his career. 1-1.
Because those 6 years mattered.
They mattered a lot for Evan Scott. And yeah, that sucks. I mean, he didn't really have too much chance of boxing. And so, I mean, that sucks for him. I feel bad for him. But I mean, Jesus, his brother had it much worse.
Oh, boy.
And I feel bad for all these people, Jimmy, but not nearly as bad as I feel for James Scott, Director of Education and School Excellence at Arizona Department of Education in Phoenix. James Scott, Director of Oil and Gas Job Search LTD in Charlotte, North Carolina. James Scott, Production Manager at Zumit Plastics. James Scott, Stud Welder at Corrosion Engineering in Phoenix, another Phoenix there. And James Scott, Senior Partner at Scott Family Law Firm in San Diego, which he could have used very much so.
Wasn't that also the name of the first captain or the guy on Star Trek? Wasn't his name James Scott? The Beat Me Up Scotty? Wasn't that James Scott?
I don't know. I never watched
think that
Star
was his
Trek.
name.
I have no fucking idea.
I'd have to Google it.
I've never watched Star Trek, so I don't know. But he's he could have used that law firm there. So May 1986, there's a rumor that Tony Ayala, remember him, crime and sports enthusiast from way back? Tony Ayala is one of the worst people we've ever had.
Chopped up his wife?
No, but I think he was the guy who broke in, rapist. Yeah, he's one of those guys.
Who was the one that beat his wife and stabbed her in the...
Everybody.
Yeah.
100 of our people.
The other boxer.
The other everybody. So he is seeking to be transferred from Trenton State Prison, where he's been jailed since 83, to Rahway, where Scott had established a boxing association. Ayala wants to fight professionally behind bars while he's there.
Right.
And all the judges are like, fuck that guy. Nobody lets him do it because they hate him. Because there's no public interest. Nobody wants to watch a rapist fight. That's what I mean. Like a hardcore...
Yeah.
Ayala's a scumbag. And he was also on heroin, I believe, and all this shit. Like,
terrible man.
Nobody wanted him to fight, so they had no interest in him. Whereas the Scott had a story, this interesting story.
Right.
It's different. Late 90s. By the late 90s, James Scott is just kind of anonymous in prison now. Nobody even remember. None of these young guys know who the fuck he is. They don't care. He fought 20 years ago.
Didn't
fuck
happen
that guy.
Fuck him.
They don't care. He says, quote, I'm in a cell with 2 other guys, and James Scott doesn't mean anything to them. I'm not popular anymore. He said, but I've done my time, 27 years of it. I should be out, but this is the hand I've been dealt. It's a bad hand, but it's my only one. Yeah. You have to look through the manure to find something good. Jesus.
Do you?
Do you? I don't know. Is it everything good in manure? Is it caked in shit?
It's
really?
I haven't been digging there. Maybe that's where it is.
You know what? I haven't found much, so maybe I need to dig in more shit. He says, you have to look through the manure to find something good. You know the old saying about the world being a stage and we're merely players? Well, I believe I have a part to play, and this is my destiny.
That was Shakespeare, I think.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Also Rush. So,
what the fuck?
It's in a Rush song.
I didn't know.
It's Slimelight. So, 2005, he is released on parole, finally.
2005.
Finally, 2005, time served, release, not even on parole. So he's
30 years.
30 years he did. He did a full fucking 30. So, yeah, and then from there, you don't hear much about him.
Yeah.
2012, he's inducted into the New Jersey Boxing Hall of Fame.
May as well.
So that's like kind of his last big public thing, is he's honored there. And, you know, people remember his story because it's a crazy fucking story.
It really is.
He was just overshadowed by hurricane.
Right.
That's all it was. And 2014, he's placed in a nursing home in New Jersey suffering from dementia.
Of course.
He's got brain damage.
Yeah.
He's been being pummeled in the head since he was 13.
Right.
So, I mean, he's been in prison fights since he was 13. Who knows what kind
He's
of...
in his goddamn 70s.
Yeah, who knows what kind of shots, or 80s or 60s. We don't know. So, you never know. So he's in there with dementia. We don't know how old he is. May 18th, 2018, he dies in a nursing home at an indeterminate age.
Yeah.
We don't know.
That is depressing as fuck.
Mad depressing. That's his life. Can't get enough of James Scott?
Yeah.
I can't, honestly. He's awesome. You can get on, I believe it's eBay here. Yeah, eBay. You can get a autograph signed index card from him that he wrote a note to somebody. It says, sorry, what is it?
Sorry I killed your son.
Sorry so late with this right. I've been very busy, so please, what the fuck?
Prison handwriting?
Please take something with good feelings, because I do care what you think and I value your opinion of me.
Oh, boy.
That's what it says. $19.95 for that little gem.
That's a deal.
That's a deal. So James Scott, that is James Scott. That's it's one of the most unlikely stories we've ever done, right?
It makes me want to rethink everything. I feel so bad for him.
Everything, yeah.
That's not enough to convict somebody, right?
Well, we don't know. The only thing that we're sure that he did ever was that, like, 1967 robbery that he said he did. Yeah. Outside of that, we have no fucking idea what he's ever done. He passed a lie detector saying he wasn't involved in that, and, you know, I could see him loaning his car to somebody for the night, especially if he was going home. Like, come on, and guy's like, nah, you could drive my car, but I'm going home.
Right.
I could see that shit happening.
It's a four-door Chevy.
That's
paid for,
baby. I could see that happening, and I mean, the truancy thing, that is just disgraceful.
That's unbelievable.
To have a kid in jail till he's 21 from 13 because he didn't go to school is remarkably fucked up and just wrong.
Honestly, unconscionable.
It's the fucking worst.
That's destroying a kid's life for nothing.
It's insane. I've never heard anything like it before, but that's James Scott, everybody.
Wow.
Holy shit. If you like that story, you can tell us, and you know what? You can tell the whole damn world about it very easily by going to Apple Podcast, that purple icon, you know, and give us 5 stars. Doesn't matter what you say.
Right.
Say you're following instructions, following directions. Say Jimmie doesn't know who Harriet Tubman is. It doesn't fucking matter. Say you don't know what year you were born. We don't care. It just helps us drive us up the charts. It really does. We don't understand why, but that's the way it works there. If you want to continue to help the show and be an amazing person, you can do that over at shutupandgivememurder.com.
Right.
You can check out everything crime and sports and small town murder related. All your merchandise is up there. Tickets to live shows that may or may not take place this year. We have no idea. But if you buy them, you'll have them when they do take place. So get your tickets. We put on a fucking hell of a live show.
We really do.
You want to see those. Yeah, we're very self-deprecating, not about live shows.
No.
Our live shows are fucking killers.
Very
They crush.
proud of them.
You'll walk out in pain. Trust me. That's how we fucking roll. So you can ask, go on social media and say, anybody gone to one of their shows? and see what people say.
I promise. They're
no
fun.
one says it sucks, put it that way. Because we give everything we got for those fucking shows, and we can't wait to get back out there again. So do all of that. Check all of that out. Follow us on social media. You can do that excessively easily. We are at Crime and Sports on Twitter and Facebook, at Small Town Murder on Instagram. That's all three of them.
Yep.
So,
there they are.
There they all are. So, you can do that there. Follow us on everything and do all of that shit. And then, if you want to be, I don't know, one of the most amazing people in the world. Savior of ours. And on top of that, if you want to get tons and tons of bonus material, no bonus Crime and Sports this week. We did one last week. We do them every other week with Crime and Sports. Small Town Murder, we do 3 or 4 a month. So you're going to get like probably 6 to 8 episodes a month of bonus stuff if you do that. You can do that very easily over at patreon.com/crimeinsports. And it's everyone over the $5 level. You really want to hear the bonuses from last week because they were awesome.
I had a great time.
Personal ads from the 80s and 90s were fantastic. Personal ads in the paper.
Little cowboy.
Little cowboy. There was
little guy.
Oh my God. There was so much good stuff in there. And then the newspaper from the 1890s that we read on Small Town Murders bonus, and you get all of the bonus episodes, was fucking bonkers. The things that were happening back then, you're like, what is going on in America?
And a few weeks ago, if you're screaming about wanting me to do a show, go back a few weeks ago and see how you don't want that.
That's true. You can check that out. So do all of that.
Yeah.
You can get all of that if you're above the $5 level over there, patreon.com/crimeinsports. Let's say you just want to be a good person and you say, you know what, I give on Patreon or I don't give on Patreon. I don't care, but I'm going to send these guys a few bucks because I like the episode I just heard or whatever. You can do that very easily over on PayPal using our email address, crimeinsports@gmail.com. And with that said, damn it, I need to hear the list of the people who I do not wish to be incarcerated for very little reason. Please, Jimmy, hit me with these people like an overhand fucking right.
This week's executive producers are Vanessa Castillo, Neil Jones, Melissa Turner, Salvador Sanchez, Lisa Newberger, Brandon Martinez, Keaton Phillips, Ziandra Nwadam Pinka, Nwamqua.
Valiant effort you're giving here, Jimmy.
That was the one.
He's trying.
Ziandra, you're fantastic. Ethan Judd, Jessica Shannon, Marguerite Hogue, Alex Faulkner, John Hyde, Dragonfly Girl, Shauna with no last name, Chantel with no last name, Will Bailey, Hugo Onuku. No.
Batting 1,000.
Laura Doubt It. I think. Serena D., Kane Simmons, Jennifer Jansen, Clay Thorson, Catherine Conqueror, Rick Sikora in memory of Jeremy Sikora. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nilu Rafsanjani, Jordan Bennett, Shauna Rogers, and Jackie Sukup. Thank you guys so much. Other producers this week are Joe Cassidy, Asia Music, Leonard Sanchez, Matt Bjork, Mallory Triest, Nicole Morris, Brian Cusino. I think. Matt and Gail Richards, Neil Cooper, Brian with no last name, Rebecca Spears, Haley Geisman? No. Ruby Rivera, Ark, Rick, Mick Alpine, Michael Skrook, Stephanie Bobby, Allison Shearing, Josh McGrew, Lisa Maria Cirilli. Tyler Sheldon, Don Becker, Jess with no last name, Dana Robert, Sasha Trapko, Dave Tanstis Hall, damn it, Kinara with no last name. Ainsley is 32 but doesn't look it, I'm told. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Kaylee Martin, Roxanne Spaziano, happy birthday, and that's from Gianna DeLuca.
Well, there you go.
Anna with no last name, Harry Jules, gross. Michael Gores, hang in there. Michael, Jesus, what did I do there? Oh, I tried to make that one name. Maticus, Heidi with no last name, Bill Scott, MJ, Jeremy Gordon, Kara Hyman, or He-Man, Derek Riesbeck, Subaru ASE Tech, that's somebody that's certified, man.
Yeah, they are.
Coffee Cat, John Crowfoot, Mary Therese Onoshku, Jennifer Kuhn, I think, damn it, Amanda Hendricks, Jennifer Prater, Lori Taylor, Wyatt H., Sam Anderson, Andrew Hertig, Thomas Blair, Jessica Bautista, Ashley Furman, Sophie LaPlane, David Thornton, Rebecca Pete, Maddie Weissman, Tyler Schlepp, Jessica Widmer, Josh and Jen Hust, Eric Hack Barty, I think. God damn it. Kendall Hansen, Elvia Castaneda, Francis Wright Olson, Laura Stickney, Amy Kyler, Chantrell Meyer, Debbie Salmi, Bobby Sons, Catherine Henderson, Jeremy Gordon, Jenica, I think. That can't be right. Martin, Natalie C., Ben Williams, Al Entringham, Haley Bennett, Jackie with no last name, Eric Schaus, Kevin Luss Jr., Seth Collins, Scott W., Katie Grabham, Shandy Schneider, Lillian Shupp, Ray Boys, Christy Durham, Nicole with no last name, Mary Keenan Brown, Lindsay Stuckless, Amy Mathis, yes, Donald LeBeau, Elizabeth Mitchell, Samantha Roy, Stephen Barella, yeah, Keith Ross, Victoria Miller, Stevie Reader, Samantha Thompson, Rebecca Ness, June Fear, God damn it, Michael Sutherland, Amanda Clockey, Ulysses, Adam Urania, Marlene Cole, Jessica Boyer, Margie Stevens, Mo Titus, Angela Catrix, Keith Reeves, Duana Washington, Macy with no last name, Jordan Brook, Sherry Monday, Carly G, Eric Rodriguez, Jan Dimes Casey, Ian, sorry.
There you go.
Lauren Malone, Nicholas Charles, Katie Isbell, Lindsay Pereira, God damn it, Marissa Scott, Michael Faherty, Tom Bonima, Jamie with no last name, Sal with no last name, Dana Sparks, Melissa with no last name, Austin Sellers, Michelle with no last name, Heather Hall, Blair Romas, Mary Beth Lally, Michelle with no last name, Dea, Markton, Graham Lee, Etchy Angel, Brandon with no last name, Melissa Henry, Josh with no last name, Christy Puco, Sammy Lipkowitz. Those aren't even close. Heidi Schmillen, Samantha Stafford, Melissa Ramella, Amy Levesque, Luke Miller, Ulysses Portillo, Stacy's stepson Alex turned 15. Happy birthday!
Hey, happy birthday!
Melissa Westgard, Adriana Tomasian. Tomb Asian, Stephanie Simon.
Tomb Asian?
I don't know. That's how it's spelled. Eric Granado, Chase Prather, Randon Jones, Hannah Suckert. Greg Gottlieb, Dylan LaValle, Shay with no.
That's my favorite of the day.
It's not one. That's not right.
I enjoy that.
Ashley Durbin, Rachel with no last name, Tony Patrick, Beth Young, Connor Panton, Jill Hubbard, Alexandra Gilmore, Barbara Carr, Kelly with no last name, Aaron Lynn Reed, Jessica Rapin? I don't know what I wrote there, and I'm Pappin. Dan Lynch, Stephen Curry, Kasia Garcia, Jess Cam, Lena Sears, Richard Berman, Sarah Eco, Stacy Cheney, Linda Lesterson, Tess Fury, Hunter Thompson. That's a real name.
Hey, lucky bastard.
I know. I looked it up. I don't know if his middle name's Steven or some shit. Stephanie, maybe? Sorry.
Something S.
Karen Elmore, Michael or Mikhail Neal, John Wojnar, Amy Hansford, JM, CGB, Jennifer Walker, Jessica Baldwin, Lex Swanson, Christopher Tobish, Whitney with no last name, Joseph Martin, Elizabeth Zingarelli. Yep. Joe Herbert. Schmoop McDoodle wrote a great email. Thank you. Bridget Fox, Jake Davis, Andrew McDonald, Danita, or is that Danita Haley? I don't know what I wrote. I apologize. Jack Becker, Rob with no last name, Brian Paul, Bree S., Joe Judd Spade, Morgan Bartolom.
Hey.
Probably not. Jason Rogers.
Maybe.
Ricky Lee Roselle.
Maggie
Williams.
It is.
Is it?
I know.
Andrew Hunt. Brendan with no last name. Jessica Lucas. Grace Holtkamp. Trina with no last name. Jessica Barfield. Ryan Conrad. Trevor Dickey. Hopi Hoopla. Jeff Mahoney. Tara Buckwalter. Ann Wittenmeyer. Ava. Don Sickles. I don't think that's right. Jenny Jones, I hope.
Okay.
Especially with the Scared Straight references this week.
Yeah, really.
Justin Clark, Joseph Creeder, Ellen Fallon, Christian McCall, Grace Holtkamp. I said that, Justin Clark.
There you go.
James Newman, Audrey Cantrell. Damn it. Carolyn Favin, nice email. Thank you very much. Jeff Buckholtz, Rebecca Marie, Ashley Vio, Stephen Grieger, Jorge Vega, Anthony with no last name, Logan Melville, Jeremy Green, Liz Vasquez, Lindsay Miller, Pierce Andrews, Pauline Walton, Susanna Platt, Beth Charlton, Zach Tuttle, Aaron Otto, Paige Christine Holtz Norenberg. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Peyton Meadows, Sarah Hunt. That's an actual real person.
That's
by the
interesting.
Way. Dylan LaValle, Rebecca Bookout, Taylor Kratke, Renee with no last name, James Martyr, Becky Toivonen. No. BDT Projects hurts so good. I'm not sure what that means. Taylor Champion, Gart Fardington. I don't think that's a real name.
I think hurts so good has a better chance of it being a real name.
You're probably right. Will Kirkpatrick, Maria Goal.
I don't think that's a real name.
Jennifer Visconti, Alex S. Margaret with no last name, Jess Kopp, Jennifer Hay, Andrew Parks, Don Peterson, Kaylin Edwards, Candace Ganilka. No. One of those letters is silent. Kyle with no last name. Kira Gottschall, Stacy Ingram, Melissa Glidewell, Brianna Mattingly, Kay Schmer, Megan with no last name, Bill Meddy or Matei, Joshua Sanders, Jamie Brown, Jessica Talbot, Tom Hamilton, Katie Owens, Lindsay Hardy, Charles Boucher, Janice Hill, Sin with no last name, Mariah Knight, Bob Beaupre, Paul Navarro, Michael Kelso, Liz Leatherland, Brittany Scherzer, Red Gingerson, probably not a real name, Catherine Cantieri, Deborah McConey, Allison Morris, Stephen Otey II, James Haber, Paul Biln, God damn it, Stacy with no last name, Chris Clark, Brett Stoker, Rob Dennison, his badass wife Abby, Krista Walker, home stretch, like 9 left. Josh Cole, Old Dick Minge, Jill Locan, Heather Murphy, and Adam Udany, Demetrius Fries, Darren Mihal, Mark Leiter, Carl Kirshner, Shelley Roberts, Rebecca Bath, Jude Kendall, Sarah Minto, Mark Burrows, Sachin Vats. That's a
Sucks and fuck. What's
sucking butts? No, it's Sachin Vats.
Oh,
it's a tough
I heard
one, man.
suck and fuck, and you heard suck and butt, and then it's neither of them. We're sorry about that, Sachin Vats.
Sachin's a fantastic person. Cameron Skinner, happy birthday, and all of our Patreon supporters. You're fucking amazing.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for everything you do for us. And we're going to continue to really hustle and really try to do a lot for you on the bonus end. We really try to do different stuff. We just want it to be different. We want to change it up. You never know what we're going to throw at you. We just want it to be funny. That's the only thing we'll promise you. It's going to be something funny. That will give you right there.
Interesting.
So, interesting and hopefully funny as well. So with that said, Jimmy, what if somebody found you interesting and funny? How could they find you?
You all know where it is. And where do they find James?
Hey, you fucking copy, and you know how to find us. Jesus Christ. We've been on, this is 4.5 years. You know how to fucking find us.
Our names are in the description of the show.
You know who I am, damn it.
Google them.
As Kramer would say. You know who I am, damn it. So that said, Jimmy, I think there's nowhere else to go.
No.
But the fuck out of here. Live from the Crime and Sports Studios. We will see you next week.
Bye.
If you like crime and sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship,
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.